Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, coffee, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who also support me on Patreon. So a massive shout of thanks and appreciation to Survive the Spin, Effie Patriot, Steve on the Level, Thomas van der Zander, Cannabear, Gary Hughes, Measured Flat, Chris Wouters, Sensual Goat, Mitch Kennedy, Rod, The Name's Burley, Twodwazzle, Jason Hornsby, Christoph Fournier, Flat Earth Travolta, JMails24, Unimento, Iron26, Endless, Golden McKinnon, Retro Bill, Level Plain Poem, Michael Kahn, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Mel B. Styles, Hairy Blade, Mobile Max 777, Rob W, Del West Watson, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Texas Mike, Chow Cat, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Also, a special shout out to Michael, who has been supporting me via PayPal every month consistently for quite literally years. So shout out to you also today, Michael. So thank you very much indeed for supporting me via PayPal. And with that, I'm going to hand across to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show. Hello. I'm going to ask my tech guy to come over and have another look again at this computer, as it started failing about a week ago. And I suspect the graphics card is failing. This will...
Did anybody see Taboo Conspiracy's latest video in relation to Lux and the propagation of light?
Okay. Someone stick it in Master B? Is it relevant for the show? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I've just come on.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. So yeah, I've been up till
Maybe
4.
nobody hears
right.
me.
Hello.
Hello. Okay then. Try that again. So I've been up several...
Did anybody see Taboo Conspiracy's video over the weekend?
No,
Nope.
no, Jardo. You want to tell us all about it?
You good?
It was great.
Okay.
What happened?
He just did a very basic video about the propagation of light and the actual description of what the meaning of lux is in relation to the generic term and how it affects how its relation is to the human eye. And then related that to astronomical observations and the mathematics behind them. And it was very good, very clean, very precise, and yeah, a very good video. It's the first time I've seen someone actually properly designate the term lux. in relation to the definition of what lux is and how it relates to human vision. Very, very good video if anyone wants to go and watch it.
How does it relate to
What
what
you're
we
saying,
do?
some of the.
How does it relate to what we do? Can Jardo not hear me? Jardo must have accidentally muted me because he's not responding to anything and he keeps cutting me off.
Jado, do you have Nathan muted? He's speaking to you.
Hang on. Let me just click on him. Oh, yeah. Sorry. I had his volume down. Sorry.
Oh, that's meeting Nathan.
That's all right. It was probably for the best. I was just going to moan about computing issues that have kept me awake till 4 in the
sorry.
morning.
I'll go back and turn your volume down then.
Okay. I'm going to have a very short tolerance for nonsense today because I'm extremely tired. Yeah? Just want to... I've tried to make this disclaimer 3 times. I'm going to start losing my temper if I don't get to make it at least once in 3 attempts. Okay. So I've been up till... Floor's all yours, I give up.
Nathan, make your disclaimer, Nathan.
I've made 3 attempts. No, I won't make a 4th. I'd rather there be silence. I'm not in the best of moods. Trying to explain 4 times why I'm not in the best of moods isn't going to put me in a better mood. Telling me I need to carry on isn't going to put me in a better mood either. I'd just rather have said it once and then got on with it, but no, that wasn't possible. Now I'm giving up because I'm not in a very good mood.
So there's the disclaimer. Nathan's not in a good mood, so he's not going to put up with any bull crap today, Brian.
No, Brian's in my good books. He made a really good video.
That is frustrating when you try to say something. I mean, it's not done intentionally.
No, that's why I'm making a disclaimer that if I snap at you, it's because I've been up till God knows what time in the morning, trying to make sure that this stupid computer doesn't fall over during the live show, which is now knackered me out for the show that I'm doing it for, which is the only disclaimer I want to make, yeah? And I want to moan, because this will be, if it is failing, this stupid graphics card, the 4th graphics card to have failed in this shitbox in 2 years. Now, I'm absolutely sick of it, yeah? So, what I do to resolve that, I don't know, and I'm going to chat with Craig and see what my options are. But initially, I'm like, oh, shall I take the plate that holds the GPU to the machine, to the CNC machine, to grind off the ridges that are screwing with the memory, probably causing multiple GPUs to fail? I'm pissed off with it. I'm sick of it. Just want to run my show and not think about the computer ever. Just want to move the mouse in the morning, have it come on, and if I'm going to load a show, load the show. Not spend till 4 in the morning pissing around with the thing, turning down settings to stop it from falling over. Because if it falls over, it means I lose the recording of the show. So now I'm stressed about it. Like there's been probably a month and a half, 2 months at most in the last 2 years of respite with this absolute crap heap. So what I'm going to do, I don't know, but I want to moan about it. Now I've moaned about it, I can probably sigh a little bit because I've aired my grievances about my frustrations with pissing around with this stupid computer for 2 straight years. Anyway, I'll see, I'm done. That's why I'm annoyed. If I snap at you, it's nothing personal.
I think in your
It's the way
again.
the board's mounted or something.
It's had.
I'm saying, is it the way the board's mounted?
Let me just answer Brian. Yes, it's giving me trouble again. Yes, it's falling over again. And yes, I've been up till God knows what time trying to fix it. And there is no fixing it. I think it's just a crap box. So in that respect, it's just as expensive as replacing a GPU. But the problem is, if it is another fourth GPU that will need replacing, right? That's something that I'm not going to do in this box, right? I will replace it with a custom water-cooled box. But if it is the GPU, it's like I've then got to raise funds for a fourth GPU in 2 years. You've got to be joking. It's just making me grind my teeth and lose sleep again, Brian.
And this all started with Did it start with that update you got the other day? The updates.
Yeah, I got one update, two updates, one in quick succession of the other. So I got a GPU update and a Windows reinstall. So it completely overhauled Windows and put Copilot AI on with a new version of Windows, which, you know, fair enough, it's just part of a Windows update. But from that point to this, it started crashing. Well, it might just be that the new software's more efficient or whatever, and is subsequently putting a greater strain on the GPU than it was previously. And it's just exposed that, because solving it is turning it really, really low down, like turning everything down. Now, doing that means that it will stay on and working for several hours and then fall over. Well, okay, I can cope with that just about, as long as it doesn't crash in the show. Fine. But by the same token, that's the exact same symptoms that the last two GPUs that failed in this machine had. Identical symptoms. So when I turned it on today and turned the second monitor on to look at you, Brian, and Discord server and Skype, all the things that I need to watch, and it started to flash, like the screens, I'm like, oh, this GPU's failing. I cannot quite believe it. So,
is it the...
Go on.
Sorry, go on.
That's it. That's it.
Saying, is it possibly a power supply issue?
Power supply is part of the case. Yeah, the power supply hasn't been changed, and yes, it could be that. But then, Trigger's Broom, I've had several new CPUs, several new RAM, several new motherboards, several new GPUs, several new riser cables, several new hard drives. Like, the only thing that now exists is the case and power supply, which are like a package, which are ultimately causing me these headaches. So what I'm tempted to do is get rid of it, because that, in essence, is the box is the PC as far as I'm concerned, right? That's the PC itself. And this box has got integral cooling, which it's caused me no end of problems. So you start off thinking, this box is going to, because it's not water-cooled, it's air-cooled, passive air-cooled, it's got, you think, oh, hardly any components to go wrong. No, endless hassle, endless things going wrong. You know, I could just replace the box, put the whatever hasn't failed in the stupid box into a new box and just replace all the cooling by a new, I don't know, AIO cooler, or even custom water cool the thing. Whatever. Just make it so that it's got nice cooling that can have a normal computer that doesn't fall over every 2 months or have a new problem every time it gets an update. Now, maybe I'm deluding myself, and that is just modern computing. But like I say, I'll have to have a chat with Craig and see what he says. I'll ask him to come over and just have a look. But I've run out of knobs to twiddle. You know, I've turned it down and down and down and down and down and down, like I did with the last two GPUs when they started to do exactly the same thing. And then you get to a point where you're like, okay, I can't turn it down anymore. And then it runs, and you're like, well, okay, it looks like I've solved it. And then it'll still crash. And you're like, oh my God. Nothing I'm doing is solving this problem. I'm not going to chuck another GPU into this box, that's for damn sure. The first GPU was paid for by the first guy that bought the machine. That cooked itself, quite literally. The second GPU didn't work properly in the machine and gave me 6 months of hassle. I then put it back in its original box with its original cooler and sent it back to the guy who bought the original PC. So in terms of doing crowdfunding or anything, the first two GPUs didn't cost anything. The third one did. I did a crowdfund for it. That's the one that's in it now, and subsequently I think failing. I might be wrong, but, you know, given its track record, I don't think so.
What about if it's a power supply? If the power supply was made to be faulty from the start, would that have cooked everything several times?
No.
Because it doesn't make sense.
No, it's cooked itself because of overheating, because of the components being more powerful than the case can get rid of in terms of its heat dissipation. So over time, the components just cook themselves because it's just not designed to have decent components in it. If it was running some crappy little workstation GPU that was 70 or 80 watts, it would be fine. It wouldn't need any fans. It just wouldn't be very good for my needs. I need dual encoders, and I need things that do streaming, and the gaming GPUs have all those features. So it's like, well, that's what I need. It's just, I don't know, maybe I'm just deluded that even if I wait for the next generation of components, that they'll somehow be better. But I'm convinced it's just the crap box and the crap cooling that it's not giving. And over time, it's just killing multiple components in this chassis. And it's not like it's a cheap chassis. It's
sorry,
like a £1,000 chassis. Anyway, go on.
You're not the only person complaining about these things, because I have a friend of mine who is a gamer, and he's building his own water-cooled computer at present. And he's been going on talking about all the corruption that's going on with the chips and all that. He's been talking about I can't remember the two different types of chips, but he said one type is like, just stay away from it. I can't remember the name of it. I think it was an NVIDIA. Oh,
Well, there's
NVIDIA,
only really there's three. There's Intel, Nvidia, and AMD, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, it was Intel. He said, stay away from Intel. He said, AMD is what you need to go for. Well, no, that's why he's going for what he's water cooled. And he's a gamer, like he plays World of Warcraft and that. And he said he said he won't go near an Intel chip. Now, I don't know enough about it, but I know that he knows what he's talking about. He's at the building. He built his last computer, and he's been playing games constantly for several years, no problem.
Yeah, like I say, the computer before this one lasted 8 years with a top-of-the-range graphics card in it, with an encoder when they'd only just come out. And I did the stream with it, and it was brilliant for 8 years. But then you find out that both of the components that I had in that machine, I picked them very, very well. And, they were very well-regarded components for many years after. Now, the current chip in this computer is regarded as absolute dog crap and cooks itself and has had multiple failures and potentially a class action lawsuit against Intel. That's what's currently in there. So that's a pile of crap, but it's turned right down. So you think, well, actually, that particular part of the computer now seems to function quite well, other than it's now crashing since the Windows update. Anyway, I don't know. Maybe I'm just imagining it. It will be fine, and it is just software, and Craig will come and go, no, here's the crash log. It's software. You need to reinstall Windows, and that'll solve your problem. Or whatever. But in the meantime, all I know is after twiddling knobs for about 48 hours non-stop over the weekend and spending a week twiddling with it when I could, and maybe it wasn't a week, 2 or 3 days, I just haven't resolved the problem. So it's like, okay.
Well, I wouldn't say it's your graphics card yet. I'll tell you why, because now I don't know, because I had a graphics card go in an older iMac I had, and what started happening was they started getting lines across the screen and dots and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting.
Started.
Yep, that's what I'm getting.
That's what you're getting. Oh, I
yeah.
Said
as soon as I turned on the projector, it started putting lines across the screen, and I'm like, that's the graphics card failing. And my heart sank, because I think, oh, no, it's just because it's not cooling itself properly, or it's not tuned properly, or it's had the graphics card update and needs to be returned to stock, minus a load of power, or whatever. So you try and twiddle all these different knobs. The last knob I twiddled was video memory. I even made a video about it. So I was like, oh, I've got this to function, because I turned the video memory, with something I've never fiddled with before, right down, and it stopped crashing for a whole day, or there or thereabouts, the whole day light bit of yesterday, Sunday. And then it didn't, then it crashed again. You're like, oh, what the hell? Nothing I do seems to solve this problem.
Well, I hope, Craig, I can solve it for you, because at this stage, all I am is a sounding board to give out you know what I mean? I don't know enough about it myself, but as I said, I know my friend, he said everybody in the gaming world is avoiding those Intel chips. Now, that might have no connection to this issue. The issue I have now might be something else.
No, yes and no. Let me just answer you. So yes and no. This is now the third CPU this machine's had. The first one cooked itself. The second one also cooked itself. Now, the second one is one of the current ones. So the one in it now is just a direct replacement under warranty, right? But the first one cooked itself because it just boosted too high. So they're trying to get beyond AMD's performance on stats when gamer channels review these chips. So they just boost the couple of cores that they want to go to 6 gigahertz, and that cooks them over time. You move your mouse, and to make the experience of just opening up something really snappy, they have the couple of cores that are the best favoured cores boosting to 6 gigahertz with like 1.45, 1.5 volts. Stupid amounts of power to get them up to those speeds. And over the course of a very limited amount of time, especially with me having crap cooling, it just fried itself. And then when Craig took it out, I'm like, can you see any damage? And as soon as he showed me the back of the chip, I'm like, you can see the scorch marks. He's like, yeah. This is like at least the second one that he's dealt with where they've fried themselves.
Hey, you
Can I
said you
chip
had
in?
I was just gonna say, Nathan, you have a newer Intel. Is it Intel? What do you call it? CPU?
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure that they have major problems. Like
Yeah, they do.
I believe it's upwards of. Yeah, you know about it, right?
Well, I've already had a warranty replacement, so yeah, I am well aware.
Yeah, ridiculous. Oh, and by the way, Nathan, do you remember that pilot you were like going over one of his videos? Gary, do you remember?
Vaguely.
Gary Pilot. I debated him today for about an hour and a half, and he didn't know what rigidity in space was.
Oh, right, okay. The pilots don't need to know what their technical equipment does, though. There's some disconnect between people where they think that the pilots are extremely technically proficient. Now, yeah, older pilots are going to become more familiar with some of the technicalities of their aircraft. And yes, there is a certain standard that they must be proficient in to fly the damn thing. But by the same token, if you were to tell me, like you just have, that a pilot didn't understand the principles of a gyro, I'd go, so yeah, why would he need to? He looks at the instrument and knows what it means when it shows him the information that the instrument provides. Not understanding and appreciating that a gyro remains fixed in space isn't necessarily something that he needs to know as a pilot, is it?
Yeah, because he did a review on one of my videos saying that he adjusts for curvature. So I messaged him, I said, if you're so confident that you adjust for curvature, come on my channel, we'll debate. So we had it today. He proved flat Earth like 10 times.
Awesome.
It was all like red in the face. But the thing is, right, he was actually a nice guy. He was actually he was saying like he doesn't trust the government, all this stuff. I'm like, dude, get onto flat Earth. It's no joke. I told him, I really want to get him on board because the guy was actually a nice guy. I put a little snippet video in your master B, but yeah, like when I asked him the questions, like, does your gyroscope maintain rigid in space? I assumed he knew what I was talking about. Then afterwards, he's like, I don't know what that is.
No, I wouldn't. There's a reason we can humiliate people like Wolfie so easily. It's because he's a pilot. Yes, he's going to be intellectually capable, but it doesn't necessarily mean he's got a very broad understanding of all things aviation. It doesn't imply that.
Yeah, I'm surprised though that it's not like that, right? And then every time he was kind of getting flustered.
How many times have you ever sat down and spoken to a pilot? Ever?
Well, online, a few now, yeah.
Online? No, I mean, when have you gone and spoken to the pilot of a plane you're about to fly on? Because I've spoken to plenty of pilots in my time, and you get a general assessment of what they're like and their intellect level, if you will, after you chat to them. I'm not saying I've chatted to hundreds, but maybe half a dozen or a dozen pilots over the course of maybe, I don't know how many hundreds of flights I took. But lots of flights, lots of pilots occasionally got spoken to by me. So I could say at least half a dozen that I've actually chatted to and gone, okay, I've got a reasonable idea of how smart you are and, what you're interested in in just general chit-chat. If you get to sit by a pilot who's in the airport or in the coffee shop or wherever you happen to just be sat next to a pilot.
Yeah. So how did it go for you? Most of them just basically said that they assume flat Earth, but not in those direct terms. But
I never spoke to pilots in that regard. I wasn't a flat earther when I was talking to pilots. But my point is that by getting a general idea of what the pilots were interested in, and I was vaguely interested in aircraft at the time, and I can't remember a specific example. We're talking 20 years ago, but I might ask a specific question about the aircraft and its functionality, and the pilot might not know the answer. And the first couple of times you're a little bit surprised, But then you suddenly realise that, no, they're not. That's not their job. You know, making an aeroplane is not their job.
You need to speak
Like
to an
most
airline
people who,
mechanic.
if you ask, yeah, but if it's like if you talk to my daughter who drives, she wouldn't have a clue about how that car works or what the instrumentation is
Exactly.
on that dashboard. Really, she just knows how to drive.
Yeah, you need to talk
It's
to
crazy
an airline
because
mechanic.
Yeah, it's the
I've
engineers.
debated airline
Brian's trying to,
mechanics too. They don't know
hold
either.
on, Angels. You've got to pause for other people to give you a response. Go on, Brian.
Well, an airline mechanic has to know. Otherwise, they can't be a mechanic. Do you know what I mean? If someone's telling you they're an airline mechanic and they don't know basic things like that, they're not an airline mechanic. They can't not know.
Yeah, so
They fix the planes. They have to know how everything works.
the funny thing is, I have debated airline mechanics, and I asked them. They knew about the rigidity in space, but then I'm like, okay, well, if it maintains rigid in space, and you don't need to nose down, how is it that you're flying around a globe? And then they just can't answer.
Yeah, but that's a different thing. Have you ever heard of a guy called Charles K. Johnson?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, he was the most famous flat earther during the 70s, 80s, 90s. Right, he took over from the International Flat Earth. He took over as president of the International Flat Earth Research Society from a guy called Samuel Shenton in London, who was doing it in the 50s or whatever. He was a very, very sought after airline mechanic. He was supposedly exceptional. And he became a flat earther when he ran into some of the flat earth information. And he knew from being an airline mechanic how airplanes fly and what they do and don't do. And that was the sealer of the deal for him. So it comes down to somebody whether they're willing to accept. It's like someone who's a mechanic of a car, but they're trying to tell you that they're correcting for Coriolis when they're driving. It's like, no, you're not. You're just driving the car. Do you know what I mean? It's like people's beliefs, regardless of what the job type is, people's beliefs are going to get in the way.
So what do we want to cover as we're starting in a little under 10 minutes? I've got several links, and there was one that came through on Friday that we never even covered. Should we go back and cover the one that we were going to cover on Friday first?
Up to you, I don't mind.
I don't remember what the one from Friday that we didn't cover was, because I can't remember we didn't cover it.
Can't remember. Don't even know if I was here.
I think this is it. Does flat Earth make sense? I think that's the one. Let's just sound check it.
Exactly. Do people think Earth is flat?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the one. Okay, yeah, we'll cover that. Good.
Why would you think it's a globe?
My mama told me.
But what people think and what people know are two different things, isn't it?
People openly declare their globe faith as a belief. I don't know if it's done unknowingly, but there seems to be a just under the surface level appreciation from most people that it is a belief, and they will express it that way and challenge flat earthers based on their comparative belief. So, for whatever reason, it's been kept out there such that people do have an appreciation that it is a belief.
Well, as you
Michael
brought
Learns
up,
is a typical example of that.
Again, one deck, what's an example of that?
I'm just saying, Michael Learns. Is it Michael Learns? He's a typical example. He'll openly admit that. Yeah, he can see how, for example, the Eratosthenes supposed curvature measurement isn't actually measuring curvature, but that's what he's been told, and that's what he believes. He tells you it's a belief system. He's in. He openly admits it, but he'll still argue the toss about the globe. He does it all the time.
Yeah, there's a reason we call them fundies. Go on, Brian.
Well, remember you were saying, Nathan, I think it was you brought up first. If all these people are going off to Antarctica, regardless of what side they're on, if they actually knew for definite, they'd have no need to go there.
Correct. For whatever reason, Duffy has managed to tap into the belief that anti-flat earthers hold. Because up until now, how do you monetize both sides? Well, you can't. Well, yeah, you can if you put them in full dichotomy and get them to try and affirm their own beliefs. But it's both sides that hold these beliefs. Anybody going down to Antarctica doesn't know Earth's a globe. Likewise, if they're a flat Earth, they don't know Earth is flat. Otherwise, why are you going? If you know, you don't need to go.
Exactly. You'd have no need for it if you actually knew. Yeah, very true. That's the thing. It's like, though, like Dave McKagan is literally admitting to the world that he only believes that the Earth is a globe. He has no knowledge and knowing of it. Do you have any need to go to Antarctica? I don't.
Maybe 10 years ago, when I was a flat Earth believer, I thought that it maybe holds some consequence to my belief back then. But now, no, there is absolutely no necessity to go down to Antarctica to affirm my belief. I don't have one. I know how Earth's measured. Knowing that means I can corner globe believers into telling me how they measure it flat. Why would I need to go down there? You measure it flat. I measure it flat. We all measure it flat, but let's go down to Antarctica and see if there's a sun for 24 hours. Because, why? Oh, well, I can affirm the consequent for a flat Earth if there isn't. Or I can affirm that there's a globe Earth if there is. You're like, no, that's how it's measured. That's how you'll travel down there. Down there being the antipodal assumption that you'll need to infer to make this into some sort of globe proof.
Well, Duffy brought out a video. I sent it to you. I don't know if you watched it.
Probably
2 days back. It was on Thursday. And he brought you up in the video. He said, it appears that Nathan Oakley, he was pointing out the people that actually have been offered, that have been offered the opportunity to go to Antarctica. And he was saying, bringing up who was offered and who was actually going to be paid for. He said, obviously, that this girl, Elizabeth, wasn't going to be paid for because it was that guy New Moon that was claiming to pay for, right? But he said, Nathan Oakley, it appears now that New Moon was going to pay for Nathan Oakley. So technically that money wouldn't have been there. But he said it appears or something like that. It's like, no, he was fully aware that it was New Moon that was offering you this. He didn't know who New Moon was, maybe. He was fully aware that the same person that offered to pay for you was the same person paying for whoever won the competition, right? But he tried to make it out as if further investigation has shown kind of thing. It's like, no, not further investigation has shown, right? It's that you were getting emails of the same person. That person gave you the idea of the competition when Nathan said no, right? But the thing is, he said then that, but it still means that Nathan has turned it down because he turned it down. It's like, no, nobody approached Nathan about it. No one personally.
Yeah, just he's a liar. Okay.
Absolutely.
Show me the email. Show me the phone conversation records where we had a conversation, Will. Show me where I've declined. You won't. You're a liar. Right? But he did decline. No, I didn't. The trip that didn't exist. So therefore, what? You can justify having me on your website as declined something that never existed, that I haven't declined? You're just a liar, Will.
Yeah, it was a little rubbish. And he wasn't addressing that point at all until I left a comment. I left a comment in, whose video was it? It could have been one of his videos or some, or it was some video connected to him, directly connected to him, from McToon maybe or something. That was only a few days out a few days before that, saying that Will Duffy knew that the same person was claiming to pay for Nathan, that claimed to be paying for whoever won the competition. I said, yeah, he pretended that it was somebody he had just come into contact with for the competition. He was trying to pretend he was trying to say nothing about the fact that it was New Moon that was saying he was going to pay for your trip that you weren't offered.
debate live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a Ko-Fi, Patreon, crypto, and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and X. Now, we are joined by Brian's Logic, Neil, and a whole bunch of people in the Flat Earth Debate Discord server. So, welcome one and all. Good to be here. Everyone had a good
Good to
weekend?
have you.
Say again, Neil?
I said it's good to have you, but this is going out to refracted curvature. If you're okay, can you come on the show and tell us you're all right with the hurricane?
Oh, right. Of course, you've had people hit by hurricanes, right?
Yeah, and Brian sent him a message. He hasn't responded, and I think that was right in his area.
Maybe he's busy. Dealing with the hurricane.
Well, that's why I just said that. If he listens, maybe he listens to the show, and he'll send somebody a message that he's okay.
Maybe he's lost power and wants to keep conserving his phone battery, not by, letting people on Skype know. Man, I do sound drunk. I didn't think it would be this bad when I started. I'm like, I'll cope, I'll be fine. No worries.
Well, I actually thought, at first I was only concentrating on North Carolina, and it had gone out of my head that it was Tennessee and North Carolina, because they kept on talking about North Carolina online and that. The mountains up in the mountain, is it the Appalachian Mountains? But I remember then, hang on, refracted curvature, Tennessee, refracted curvature is there. So I sent him a message. I haven't heard that from him yet, but hopefully him and his are okay.
Yeah, prayers go out to him. Hopefully he's okay. Rubbishy living in a disaster area.
Yeah, but that's just it, Nathan. A lot of those areas, they're not equipped for that because it never happens to them. These are places that were in the mountains.
Oh, I see. So this is an area that typically be hit by, obviously my geography is rough. It wouldn't normally be hit by a hurricane in this area.
Correct.
I see.
Florida would be far more prepared for something like that than...
Yeah, I've been in one.
The mountains,
I've been in a hurricane. I was at the southernmost tip. I was on, I can't remember the name of the island. I think it's called Key West. And I got barricaded into a pub. So we drove down to attend a hurricane party where we were barricaded into a bar, having locked our Corvette that we'd rented in a garage miles away so it wasn't damaged. And yeah, we just partied. I think after it was all subdued and everything had sort of calmed down, we went outside and it was just destruction everywhere. Trees uprooted and cars turned over, and just the place was a mess. Just completely, smashed to pieces by bits of brick and all sorts of crap just floating around. I mean, you could hear it. It was loud enough to know what was going on. But you think, man, if you were out in that, you'd be killed easily.
I know you're telling the truth because that's exactly what they call them, hurricane parties. They do it in New Orleans a lot of hurricane parties there.
Yeah, so we drove down from Miami to Key West just for this party. And that drive was something I'll never forget till the day I die. It was amazing. Driving from Miami to Key West, that drive across all these bridges, across all these islands. Absolutely spectacular, just breathtaking. The whole journey. In a soft top Corvette, it was awesome. The journey down there was just fantastic. So if you're of that area in Florida and you regularly drive around there, you know what I'm talking about. It's just spectacularly beautiful.
Sounds awesome, actually. That area, I heard, is awesome to see.
Yeah. Anyway,
Pretty flat, that area.
very.
Oh, it's flat.
Yeah, very. That was noticeable also. Very, very, very flat. At least the bits I was driving.
Sorry.
Go on.
I was just going to say that even where Lake Pontchartrain is, that's in New Orleans, isn't it? Lake Pontchartrain.
That's
and
correct.
the elevation at either side, like the average elevation, like I looked at the opposite side elevation of that lake or whatever, and it's like 4 foot, 6 foot, all this kind of thing, 2 foot above the waterline of that lake. And you're going back several miles before you get any kind of 20, 30 foot above elevation above the lake. Do you know what I mean? It's just all this little, like hardly any elevation above the lake. You don't need it because it's just a lake. But I mean, it's just like it's all, for several miles, there's basically no elevation changes. Like
Elevation, you say?
we're
Yeah,
boiling a flat plane.
Yeah, Neil's pointing out that when you, back in the day, would argue about how much elevation change there was from the horizontal plane of reference, always reference to sea level, that's a flat Earth prerequisite that's used to describe the deviation from the horizontal, right? Well, back in, I don't know, 2015, 16, 17, we'd be arguing about curve calculations that were derived from the horizontal plane of reference with eye levels described from perpendicular vertical eye height with respect to sea level. All of these flat Earth prerequisites were utilised in the first instance to then move forward and argue about derivations and calculations from those flat Earth measurements to say, how much Earth curve do we have? It's nuts when you think back on it, how many flat Earth words and terms and measurements were actually used back in the day when we did argue about Earth curve as flat Earthers. And Neil saying, elevation, you say? What, height above sea level?
Exactly, Nathan.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you something else, right? Just we're talking about like Pontchartrain there. One of the things I pointed out concerning what I pointed out concerning that I got ridiculous amount of anger off the ballers for because they couldn't deal with it, was that I showed that there's inferior mirage at the opposite side of the lake. Right now, where they're saying where they think the bridge is going down over a curve, behind that point there's inferior mirage. Inferior mirage cannot happen unless there's a tangible surface of water or land for it to happen upon. Right? That's why you will often see inferior mirage giving you the impression that the horizon is a lot closer than it is, or than it would be without the inferior mirage. So you'll see a boat that's missing half at the bottom, but when you zoom to it, even if it's at a bit of a distance, when you zoom to it, you can see it's just inferior mirage. And everyone accepts, well, that's just inferior mirage. It's not our curve. Now, back in 2016, they were trying to claim it was our curve, right? Just so everyone knows. But inferior mirage requires a tangible surface. So if you're seeing inferior mirage 30 miles away, then you're seeing a surface at 30 miles away, let's just say, for example. And it's just one of these things where people just look past and they don't really realize the power of it. It's like you can't see inferior mirage at any distance without that there being a surface, because it can't happen without a surface. You won't see inferior mirage up on the side of a cliff. You won't see it up on underneath of an airplane. It doesn't happen in those places. It needs the air pressure and temperatures that happen on a surface. It won't happen other places. So if you're seeing an inferior mirage, we were always...
Sorry to interrupt. Well, I just want to shout you out. So I've just brought up your video that's called Tangent Levels LOL, which I thought was excellent. And although you say at the beginning that it's going to be relatively short, it's not. It's 15 minutes long. But it's still well worth watching. And for Brian, exceptionally concise. Joking aside, go and check out Brian's most recent video. If nothing else, for a bit of hilarity in the comments, where they've given him precisely what I told them not to. Don't give me endless paragraphs of waffle. Yeah, he got plenty of endless paragraphs of waffle. Yeah?
That's all I got. Yeah,
check it out.
Yeah.
So, anyway...
Yeah.
Let me just finish my shout out. So it's called Brian's Logic. That's the YouTube channel. I've just put a link to it in the live stream chat. It's on screen now. You can see it right there, right? So go and click on it. Give Brian a subscribe if you haven't already, and like the video. Leave a reply to some of the triggered fundies telling them, Earth's measured flat and, equidistant to the centre of a ball that's measured with flat Earth to produce it. That was my favourite bit in the video, actually, Brian, when you're like, where'd you get this ball from? Without the ball to exist with point A, which is his centre of the sphere. You'll understand when you watch the video. But without point A, you've got nothing. You can't pretend that you're taking these measurements from tangents unless you've got a sphere that you're not measuring from to pretend you've got them to come from. I mean, it was great. It was a really good video, Brian.
Thank you. Yeah.
I just left the... So,
go on, Angels.
I just left the I just went on the channel, your channel, Brian. I left a comment on the guy who's trying to claim like level is curved. I'm like, stop it. Get help.
Look, the only person that was in there that I saw so far, and I haven't seen all of the comments yet, but I've seen a good few of them earlier, and was this one commercial pilot called Trevor Austin, who said the only point that's level with B on your diagram, or can be level with B, is B. So B is level with itself. So 1 point.
A single point. Hold on. He says the only point that's level. I heard you using that terminology as well. I almost commented on it, but I didn't. But I'm glad you phrased it that way. Yeah. Single points do not produce a level. Yeah? 2 points with no elevation change between them. No part being higher or lower than the other. 2 points. This tangent bollocks. Single points, lads. Yeah, you're not going to wash with that. Yeah? And like the guy I know me, oh, well, if I zoom in, it's flat. No part on a ball is ever flat.
Yeah, it's exactly. You can't have level with just 1 point. Level is no point higher or lower than another. That means 2 points that are at equal elevation to each other, no point higher or lower. Now, if you have 2 points on a sphere or a circle, then one of those points will always be a drop from the other. Each one of those points, it depends on how you orientate the sphere or a circle to yourself. The other point will always be at a drop from the other. That means a drop. That means not. That means at a lower elevation. It means a measure. You could measure, if it was real, you could measure it, right? So how do you even measure a drop in elevation from 1 point to another without level being a horizontal plane? You can't. The whole thing is impossible.
I'll tell you how. That's why you got to go into the center of the ball. That's the only way.
No, that doesn't work. If you're trying to use level in reality, you cannot pre-assume that it's equal distance from a center of a globe. You can't do that because the point, if I'm standing here now in my kitchen and I'm looking out towards my front door, that means the point where the front door is at a lower elevation to where I'm standing. If you know what I mean, in distance. Okay, that would be flat. It'd be flat in my house, right? Because it's a house. But it doesn't matter.
I've got to stop you, right? I've just got to stop you. What Brian is explaining in this video is elementary, right? The definition is violated if you say that it's equidistant from the center point of a sphere, right? That violates the law of non-contradiction. What Brian's doing is taking an absurd notion that is held by our opponents who believe in a ball and pointing out to them in a complicated way how this elementary principle they deny is undeniable even if you make it complicated and try and describe points that are around the ball as being level. They're not. It's utterly absurd. But this elementary base principle must be violated if you want to believe you're on a ball. What's the consequence of that? Endless paragraphs of boring nonsense from idiot glurfs who want to tell you that a point is a level. Okay, lads, this is your fundy belief getting the better of you.
That's an impossibility.
Yeah, I even had the guy who got me the baller who got me the pitch data. He was writing some nonsense about how horizontal changes its orientation in relation to itself type stuff in my last video about the pitch data. And one of the flat earthers came in and said, he said, I don't need 3 paragraphs of boring. It's just flat. Do you know what I mean? He said to him. Because that's what we're getting. As it is. We're getting paragraphs of boring waffle from the ballers while they're trying to change reality into what they need it to be for their religious belief. And that's all that's going on.
My favourite in your most recent video is, of course, horizontal's bending around a sphere because Earth's a ball.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah. In your mind, horizontal must curve because you're on a ball. Therefore, it must be that way. No, you're not on a ball. You just can't accept that. So you'll violate this elementary principle to make it not work anymore. How are you going to describe that deviation from horizontal without the base principle of horizontal having no point higher or lower than the other? You can't even describe a curve without that. These people are idiots.
Then the zealots. It's crazy. I'm looking at the comments. It's insane.
Yeah, we're surrounded by zealots, and it's becoming more and more obvious in the year 2000 and 20s. It's more and more obvious the zealotry that we have to deal with on a daily basis. Because it is just zealotry now. How many flat spots are on a disco ball Earth, says Misfit FB 850 from the Super Chat. Thank you very much indeed for the Super Chat.
But, you know, that's what when I was speaking with about the pitch data with Kiwi, we're both of the same opinion that it's going to cause, and it's already after doing it, causing our opposition to try to bend reality in such a way that the average person on the street could never adhere to. Right? The person who just thinks it's a globe, would, if they read that, they go, these people are crazy, not realizing that these people are the spearhead of what you believe in, if you're that person.
Not quite. Don't mistake anti-flat earthism for being the spearhead, as you put it, of globism. It isn't. Half the rhetoric that they come out with defies their globe earth principles in the first instance. So you can't say they're spearheading their globe faith. They're not. They've fallen down the hill. They've found themselves in a reality that they don't like, and now will brace against anything that we say, literally anything, even if it defies their own globe faith in the first instance, to try and reaffirm the bald belief that they've lost after falling down the metaphorical hill of flat Earth. Doesn't matter that they say they still believe it's a globe. That's all they have, belief. But their belief requires them to defy reality at this point.
Yeah, but it is driving them crazy because on that new Discord server, the Globe Gangsters, that's all they're talking about, is Earth measured flat.
It is measured flat. Not measured flat, but it's measured to be a horizontal plane with topography above and below that horizontal plane. So the only way you can describe it is flat, right? But the point being is that even if you're saying, Nathan, that anti-flat earthers are saying that, but it doesn't apply to the everyday person, I'm afraid it does. Because the everyday person, right, how are they going to explain horizontal on the globe they believe they live on? What are they going to come up with? Because they're going to have to go in the same direction as these people, right? The opposition, these anti-flat earthers are going in. Otherwise, they're going to have to say it's not a globe.
They've not fallen down the hill. They're not being presented with such questions, is my point. They're not going to be in a position to have to... Go on.
This is where Bev was going with some years ago. And if Bev had kept on going in the direction he was going, he would have been a much bigger success. Because Bev was going down the direction of level is horizontal. Horizontal is level. That's it. And if level is horizontal, the Earth can't be a globe. It was that simple with Bev. Now, he's after going down other directions and making other ridiculous arguments since then. But the point being is that his original premise is unbeatable, right? And that's where curvzontal came from. People talking to Bev and them started calling it curvzontal because that's what they were trying to claim, that horizontal goes around the curve.
No, not curvzontal, bendizontal. Bendizontal.
But there's been two. There's curvzontal and bendizontal. You know what I mean? There's two because they want horizontal to be straight and be bendy at the same time.
Yeah,
or also straight.
As Refracted Curvature said, that you guys need a flat Earth more than we do.
Yeah, they need it.
It's not only that. Sorry, Brian.
No, go ahead, one day. I'm finished.
No, so I was just saying, but Nathan, it's not only that, you let them try and explain curvature, and you're faced with them explaining flat Earth measurements. And this Nathan did it on the show last week in politics. I do it with them. You'll just say, "Go on, then tell us how it's measured." And before you know it, they're talking about the elevation angle. They're talking about level, parallel, plumb, all the words I've got down. They'll be mentioning them. They don't mention anything about curvature. And it's just, I love it when they do that.
When
Just give me the
Nathan
mic.
asks them for the. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm done, Neil.
Go ahead,
I was going
Neil.
to say, I love when you tell them, all right, give me the messages of the ball then. And then they're either silent or, like one deck says, they start using flat Earth measurements.
Yeah. The thing that gave me the confidence to do that was refracted curvature. You guys need a ball Earth more than we do in his exasperation while he's trying to get them to give him some globe measurements, and they keep giving him flat Earth measurements. So, like I say, in his exasperation, he's like, you guys need a flat Earth more than we do. Yeah, because all their globe Earth claims, when they start with measurements, they're measuring a flat Earth to do it. There's no exceptions to that. That's why it seems easy, right, when you see me taking apart ball believers, because if they know what they're talking about, they're going to appeal to the actual measurements of Earth. Aren't they? What else are they going to appeal to?
Yeah.
Non-existent measurements that they don't have? The extrapolations of Earth curve maths, debunked in 2020 by the Black Swan? What can they appeal to? If you're going to talk about Earth being measured, you're just going to talk about Earth being measured, and it's measured flat. So that's what they do every single time. They need a flat Earth more than we do.
Well, the thing about it is, the question I asked them in a video some while back was, is level 2-dimensional or 3-dimensional? Now, a lot of them are coming in trying to say level is 2-dimensional, but the surface of a sphere is 3-dimensional. I said, level is, right, technically you can say it's the surface of a sphere, like a pool ball, let's say, appears to be 2-dimensional, as there doesn't appear to be any undulations on it. Like with Neil deGrasse Tyson saying, regardless of what mountains are there, you can if this beach ball was the Earth, you'd rub your hand over it and it would feel because smooth is touch sensitive, right? But the thing about it is, let's say we take it that basically, as a basic, the surface of a sphere is 2-dimensional. The point being is that any 2 points on that sphere will always have a drop value between one and each other. Now, a drop would be a drop in elevation from a straight line. What will be a tangent? But that means one of those points is lower in elevation to the other at all times. They're both lower or higher in elevation to the other at all times, depending on your position if you were to stand on a sphere. So the point being is that for them, level can only, what they're claiming is 3 dimensions. They're claiming level is 3-dimensional, whereas level can't be 3-dimensional, it can only be 2-dimensional. That's the whole purpose of it.
And
you can't refer
one addition.
Yeah, go on.
When you get to pointing that out, they then say, no, it's a single dimension, it's a single point. 1-dimensional.
Yeah, they try to make it into 1-dimensional. That's the problem. And this is something as well. I remember pointing out to him, I think in the comments of that. I'm glad you said that, Nathan, because it's either they have to claim it's 3 dimensions or 1 dimension. They can't say it's 2 because it's over for them. Because 1 dimension is a single point. 3 dimensions is 3 points, and 2 dimensions is only 2. Go on, Wundek.
I'm just saying I'll have to try and dig it out again, and we have mentioned it before. I found it like a multiple choice question for 3rd grade or something, and it does say tick what level is, and it's got a few pictures on it. One's a circle, one's like a wavy line, one's a dot, and one's a straight line. So I'll just send them that now. So just tick which one level is. It's 3rd grade exam.
Can you dig that out?
Simple. Yeah.
Be good to put that on screen.
I'll try and find it. I did have it.
Yeah, if we can, we'll stick it up on screen.
I actually got a message. The first comment I got on my video this morning was somebody came in. I never came across this person before that I remember. They came in and said, yeah, it's flat. No shit, Sherlock. And I think they were referring to level. It's like, it sounded like someone who was possibly a globe believer who's thinking, why is this idiot making a video about what level is? Everyone knows that, what level is. But I reckon that this person is not thinking about it from the point of view of a globe. They're not taking, hang on a minute, level can't be flat and horizontal and still be level and the Earth be a globe. Because those two things they can't gel, they can't coexist. Level, being two-dimensional, and a globe Earth can't coexist. It's impossible.
Well, the other day, that's when they start saying, no, Earth is so big. If you was to stand on it, there's going to be two level parts on it because it's so big.
Yeah. But ultimately, it doesn't matter. We're measuring the surface flat, and then if they ever get to the actual measurements of Earth, they'll have to concede that, and then just justify with apologies why it's not being measured globe-shaped, or how you can consider a flat surface to be globe-shaped. And then transpose that flat Earth measurement into hell so you can make it actually functional.
Well, you remember that guy I was saying on OME TV that was saying, if you zoom in, it's flat. Remember that fella, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Charles Globe Earth Math was pushing that rubbish. There, 1 second.
The guy who's talking about is no... oh, go on. I thought you were disappearing for longer.
No, sorry. I just had to go on mute for a second. Charles Globe Earth Math was pushing that nonsense on one of Bev's streams there last year at some point. And he was saying two things. One that a zenith angle, which would be an angle off of the vertical, doesn't require a horizontal. So that was the first thing I nailed him on in the video I make as a response to it. Like the zenith requires 90 degrees. That means it requires horizontal, right? Just like it requires the vertical, right? So that was a complete lie he was saying, right? The second thing he said is that when you zoom in on GeoGebra or on GeoGebra or CAD or any of these, you can use the surface of the sphere for an angle. When you zoom in, you will get a little flat area. And I zoomed in and showed in GeoGebra, right, that is impossible. And I also showed what's his name's video with CAD, where he showed line is not, or curved line or something is not an angle. Or remember, what's his name? Rob's video.
Durham.
Rob Durham. Parks was nearly coming into my head. Rob Durham. I showed his video where on CAD and on GeoGebra, there is no flat surfaces that you can use for an angle on a sphere, because flat surfaces on a sphere are contradictory to the existence of the sphere, Charles, you lawyer. But this is the rubbish that this guy, Charles Globe Earth Math, was pushing out to the audience. It's like, are you for real? And one of the questions I asked him, I said, when he came in commenting on the video, I said, so Charles, do you, or have you in the past taught these things to your students? He wouldn't answer. Because he knows.
He knows when he's lying. Yeah. Charles Flat Earth Math's a full-blown liar. And he knows it.
Absolutely.
All he'll do is smirk at you when you call him out on it.
Absolutely. He couldn't say yes. He has taught them things to the young people he teaches, because he knows that would mean that would be in trouble.
Stop.
What?
If you continue along this line, right, I'm already exhausted from pissing around with this computer all weekend till 4 a.m. Let's not carry on this vein, because I can already feel my blood starting to boil because you're talking about teachers. Oops.
Okay.
Did my line go a bit weird then?
Yeah, your line was shaking.
Yeah.
Things aren't looking good for this computer. Yeah. Things are starting to go weird. Right, let's get into a video.
Perfect now, though.
I don't want to talk about teachers teaching kids lies.
I won't.
It's just, yeah. If we go down this line, I can just feel myself losing my temper on this live stream. So now I'm relatively calm. Anyway, okay, right. Let's just play the clip of what Brian was talking about. So I released this about a week ago, and yesterday I released the full version, which is about 40 minutes long. So the full discussion. This is only a couple of minutes long, so we might as well just get into this so you can hear what Brian's talking about. Be sure to like, follow, share, subscribe on whatever platform you are watching this on. The only reason you're doing this is so you can justify measuring Earth flat, by the way.
Right, wait there. See your face? Look how flat that is. Right? That is what Earth looks like from when you're on it. It looks flat, doesn't it?
So okay, so you're saying because it looks flat, but we're not looking at it, we're measuring it with angles, aren't we?
Yeah. So
we're measuring Earth flat.
we're measuring it with flat angles, yeah. Even if you measure with flat angles, which is the best way to do it, you can, because it's flat enough. Because you're so small on the Earth, it's flat enough. You can.
said we measure it flat.
I am finished my point. Even though, right, it's flat for there, I have to measure it flat because it's tiny. Because I'm so small, it looks flat to me. But it looks flat. I measure it flat. It doesn't change the fact that it's a circle. So if the shadow is about like this angle, right?
Off a flat Earth.
No, wait, let me finish. On this hypothetical, if the Earth was round, right?
Well, no, it wouldn't be an angle anymore.
Let's go back.
If one of the lines is curved, it's not an angle. Angles are two straight lines.
We got a straight line. So we're a little tiny person on you, and the Earth looks like this. It looks straight.
I just need to summarize so I can follow along. So you're saying we're zoomed right in and we're measuring Earth flat because we're really close up and we're measuring angles off a flat plane. So we are measuring Earth flat, but that's only because you believe it's a really big ball. That's why we're measuring it flat, correct?
No, right. We're measuring it flat because it's the easiest way to measure stuff.
So we're measuring Earth flat. That'll do. Okay, right. Should we cover the other video? So we were going to cover this on. Oh, go on, Brian.
I was just going to say, well, when are they measuring it to be a globe?
Never.
That's the
Never.
Yeah, but that's the question, isn't it? Like, all these people are going, well, we do measure flat. So when are you measuring it to be a globe? Where are those measurements? Nothing.
Well, they're on screen. They're calculations, not measurements. And you need flat surface level and eye level parallel with surface level, derivable from the surface level we use for reference, which is sea level, to give you your height of eye. And then from that point, you can remove all aspects of perspective, put it in an orthographic view, and claim that the derivation, that's dip, from surface level when calculated with parallel eye level, will give you a geometric sphere edge horizon below the surface level, marked in this diagram as horizon. That's where Earth curve is claimed to exist. It only exists in the maths, derived from flat surface level, which you will measure.
Just saying, you can ask them what instrument or tool did you use to measure curvature? Say, well, I used a C-section or a theodolite. I say, well, they're angle measuring tools, mate. You won't be using them.
Yeah, they need a flat Earth more than we do.
You won't be using them on a ball, that's for sure.
Technically, it wasn't on your screen, Nathan, because you stated it was calculations on your screen. So the measurements weren't on your screen. The calculations weren't on.
I feel I made it explicitly clear that the measurements were flat and that the extrapolations and calculations put a geometric sphere edge below the surface level that's measured flat. It was on screen marked as surface level, and parallel eye level was also diagrammatically represented because it's required in the measurements of a flat Earth to derive a point below the flat surface level that you use to measure, called the horizon in the orthographic diagram. I made it explicitly clear. Earth's measured flat to claim you've got a Earth curve below surface level.
Yeah, but I asked, where are the measurements for the globe? I
already said they don't exist.
You said they're on screen.
No, I first said they don't exist, and so did Neil.
Yeah, but I was trying to forget it.
I said the calculations are on screen. You should listen back. I was careful in my phrasing.
You said they're on screen. Then you changed it to calculations when you realised they weren't on screen.
Okay, maybe it wasn't because I didn't realise. I already preemptively decided they were going to be referenced to the flat Earth measurements in the diagram. But there we go. If you're going to decide that I just have missed that trick, I didn't miss it 3 years ago. I'm not going to miss it today. But you can have that belief. Anyway, we're going to cover this video. We were going to cover it on Friday. We just didn't get around to it because it was such a good discussion. Called Debunking Flat Earth Theory. He's already in a category error when he calls it a theory. Meanwhile, it's not a particularly big YouTuber, so more than ever, because I would like the same support if I was this guy's size, when I was this guy's size. Please let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me with a polite comment that won't immediately get scrubbed by the YouTube algorithm or the videographer themselves. So don't be swearing at them, even if we do respond badly in their viewpoint to this video. But just let him know that we've responded to his video, hopefully with a polite comment. And yeah, I'm sure he'd appreciate the YouTube algorithmic love going in his direction or her direction. I'm not sure which this videographer is, male or female. Let them know that Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me with a polite comment. And hopefully he'd return the YouTube algorithmic love by doing the same for me if he was to make a response to what we critique here today. or praise if indeed we agree with him. You never know your luck. So hopefully, have I put it on screen? Yes, I have. You can see it whizzing its way by in the YouTube live stream chat. Go and let him know, at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. Hopefully that's me buying enough time by repetition for a few of you actually in the live stream to actually go along and do this, rather than just listening to me say it over and over again and thinking someone else will go along. But there are almost 100. There's 82 people watching. It just flicked down. But yeah, please toddle along and let this smaller videographer know. Isaias Hernandez? That Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. Also, shout out to Goldie for gifting a membership. Shout out to Robert Hunt, who was gifted it. Really appreciate the support, Goldie. Thank you very much indeed. Go on, someone open their mic.
I said, what? I'm in there and I said, let's go, buyers. I'm ready. Neil needs a membership.
Okay. Let's get on with this video. Please let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. Hopefully you've done that if you're in the live stream.
Why exactly do people think Earth is flat?
Think could be easily substituted with believe. Why do we think it? Because it's how it's measured. So it's not that we think it, we know it. I very rarely think about it, actually, because I don't need to. It's not something that dwells on my conscience regularly. Anybody here in the panel or Discord server worry about the fact that Earth is flat?
Nope.
You're not going to get told off if you do concern yourself with it. Angels, I was expecting you to pipe up. You're worried about bleeding converting people. No response. Nobody's going to admit it. Stereotyping fallacy. Not true.
Flat earthers have probably existed for
Going to be another stereotyping fallacy.
thousands of years, but less of them exist now thanks to, well, science. Disclaimer, Earth...
You haven't got a clue what science is, do you? How can the existence of flat earthers, that people either who believe or understand as we understand Earth is measured flat, how can you suggest that science, something that establishes or elucidates the cause of natural phenomena, can have any bearing on those that believe or know Earth is flat? It doesn't. It's completely non sequitur and another category error. Science elucidates cause and effect based on natural phenomena. How many flat earthers has no bearing on that? You're an idiot. Second time you've done it. 12 seconds into the video, he's used 2 misappropriations of the word science and theory, so strictly 3. 12 seconds. Go ahead, Brian.
Apologies, Nathan. I thought you were stopped. You know what I hear when I hear that term? When they say, now that we have science, right, that actually, they're actually not putting in the words that's actually honest, even with themselves. It's now that we have a global belief, then flat earth, blah, 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 blah. That's what it actually is. They've taken out those 2 words, global belief, and put in science instead of them, when science has nothing to do with it.
Check out Neil in the chat. You're on the panel, Neil. You're here while we produce these shows. Says he's in the chat with his spanner. I'm ready. Are you, Neil? You ready for your free membership, are you?
I'm waiting.
All right, well, that's good to know. You're a panel member. Man, you're like... Have a word.
Hold on a second. You don't understand the excitement it is to just get it. I'm telling you. You got to type in right after it's purchased, and then you get it.
Okay. Yeah, it's just in poor taste. That's all. You obviously don't get it. I'm not going to reiterate it. Fine, whatever.
Yeah, it's not in poor taste. They know it's a game to me.
It's one step up from Arwin e-begging in my chat.
No, that's ridiculous. Armin was he begging for money
Knew
like
that,
a moron
Nev.
on your street corner.
Okay. I'm just telling you, it's in poor taste. You won't have it. Right, let's get on with it.
Earth is round, but it's worth it to explore where this can...
By baseless assertion, followed by a misunderstanding of the terminology used for a globe Earth. Round and flat are not mutually exclusive. You can be round and flat like a penny. So when you say Earth is round, okay, well, it doesn't exclude how it's measured, flat. But your proposition, by way of belief, is that it's spherical. So try and be more specific with your language, young man.
Conspiracy theory originates and why something like this can become.
Why is he in what looks like a vest with a sports coat? What's that all about? He's got like a t-shirt that's got a stretched neck with a sports coat on top of it. What's going on? Does he not understand how you get dressed? Shirt, maybe a tie.
Real to so many people. My name is Isaias Hernandez, and this is Queer Brown Vegan. My platform is to bring you
This is what? Queer Brown Vegan? Is that what he just said?
environmental education that's focusing on the intersectional.
I don't get it. I don't feel the need to introduce my video. Hi, welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm heterosexual meat-eating Nathan. What the hell? I don't get it. Why does that declaration need to be there?
Issues rather than ignore them. If you like what you see here, be sure to like.
Yeah, Queer Brown Vegan. Okay. You like your nuts. Good for you.
Comment and subscribe because it helps me grow my channel and bring you more educational content. There's a long history, centuries ago, before scientific advancements and
So what do you mean before scientific advancements? You mean what? Establishment of cause and effect based on naturally occurring phenomena that's advanced humanity? Before that?
documented global exploration, it was...
Really? Global exploration? Now, I'm pretty sure that all of the navigation on the surface of Earth was done flat, with angle measurements to the stars, so we could find our way home and expand the territories as was done. That wasn't done with global references, my friend. You should really look into how we actually navigated and expanded the known territories. We did it all flat.
sort of mainstream to believe that the Earth was flat.
Like mainstream to believe it's flat. We are navigating Earth flat. You think we're using global references.
People had limited knowledge and observation.
You have limited knowledge. Don't project. Your limited knowledge has led you to make a baseless assertion that we did navigation spherically? Absolutely not. We didn't use Cartesian grids spherically.
And couldn't use things like Google Maps.
Flat. This is called it Cartesian grid. Much two-dimensional flat representation of a map. Man, you have no idea what you're babbling about, do you? Google Earth's based on a Mercator projection. That's a flat grid based on latitude and longitude measured with angles to the star Polaris for the grid in the north. That is how you form a celestial sphere with antipodal flat planes measured flat with the stars to form something called the celestial sphere. You can then project those points from the center through a radial value sphere at 3959 miles and then call that a globe. But it's not very useful if you're going to map the territory with angle requirements. So you then have to project that globe onto a cylinder and then cut it down the middle and roll it out flat, producing a flat square grid in place of circles of equal elevation. That is known as the Mercator projection and is the basis of Google Earth and navigation systems the world over. They are flat. They're used with areas of equal elevation. Their functionality is flat. The measurements that go with them are flat. Earth is flat. Yet you think you can talk about globe Earth references by baseless assertion and then go to Google Earth and show her what this software produces something global? No, draw an elevation profile of it. You obviously haven't even used the software to draw out and show how globe-shaped it is by way of measurements in this software. Because you can. It's called an elevation profile. It too will show how high or low the ground is with respect to a flat plane of reference. Earth is measured flat in this app.
And these ancient perspectives were based...
Ancient perspectives? What ancient perspectives? You just had an app upon a bloody phone. Ancient perspectives on a smartphone?
on what people could perceive with their eyes, and thus flat Earth was unofficially created.
So what, based on what people saw and didn't put practical application to? No. I can overcome that by pointing out how we navigated the surface and expanded the territories. I've already done it twice. This is crap. Why would anyone believe what to put in their body? Any type of nuts that go into your sodding body have no relevance because they're discredited by this crap, where you utilise the word of science to claim that what people saw was the basis of their belief in a flat plane that they're measuring and navigating. You're a clown.
Some people just still hold on to this. And if you imagine people seeing the horizon, that it...
What, horizontal? Utilised to establish planes of references in navigation? What about it, son?
looks flat, or feeling that the Earth
looks flat or is utilised as a horizontal plane of reference. Utilised to level tools, for example, that are useful in navigation. Oh, that's what it's actually used for in practical application. Meanwhile, you can describe it if you measure Earth flat as being a point below the surface level you call Earth curve. But by perception, it just kind of looks flat. No, it's a geometric axiom that we'll be utilising when we measure Earth with this point in the distance. Earth is measured flat with this point. Oh, well, that would be a straight line across the centre of this screen. Yeah, it's very useful that it holds that geometric principle. Hey, chocolate.
Morning, guys.
doesn't seem to move, which is because of gravity. That
What, the horizon doesn't move because of gravity? This guy's just babbling off buzzwords, isn't he? Maybe I should be a bit less harsh on him.
He's not saying anything, is he?
Well, he's obviously mentally
He's
retarded.
not saying a thing, is he?
It's just stupid.
I'm sorry.
He's saying the horizon seems flat because of gravity. I mean, you're just retarded at this point.
makes it seem like Earth is flat. You also have a general rise in conspiracy theories and skepticism in
Sorry, what skepticism are you referring to, pray tell, when I talk about measurements of Earth? No.
In today's age of widespread information, there's a growing skepticism towards...
You think you'd had a look at some of it, like elevation profiles in Google Earth? Like the measurements of Earth that they freely give you if you want to look at them? You haven't even done that. You scratched the surface and zoomed in on an app and went, oh, globe-shaped. No, it's on a flat screen with flat grid references. So, no, definitely not. Maybe if you'd have looked into the measurements on the app, you wouldn't be making these baseless assertions about conspiracy theories that we hold. No, it's just that it's measured, mate. Earth's measured flat. All your examples thus far have shown such.
Established scientific principles.
You don't know what science is. Why are you talking about this?
People can seek out and listen to independent voices that can win in popularity contests.
Well, that's consensus then, not science.
Regardless of sources, it is...
But that's consensus then, dickhead. You're an idiot. You haven't got a clue what science is. You've just talked about consensus.
Especially comes when people have these big personalities. Some people broadly reject scientific consensus and...
Sorry, scientific consensus, that's an oxymoron. There is no consensus in science. Science is empirical. The reason it's empirical is it has a methodology attached to it called, shockingly, the scientific method. The method is as follows. Just so I can educate this idiot, he keeps appealing to oxymoronic scientific consensus. Agreement doesn't give you empiricism, son. And it certainly isn't science or the scientific method. The scientific method is as follows. Step 1, observe natural phenomena. Step 2, formulate a scientific prediction, otherwise known as a hypothesis, in which you will have a presumed cause of the phenomena you observed. Formulation will also include a presumption of a null, that is a zero difference result outcome. The supposition will be your independent variable supposition of cause, A, will cause the natural phenomena you observed at step 1, B. So if A, then B is the suppositional hypothesis statement with a null alongside. If A, not B. Zero difference outcome. Only one will be validated, because only one can be validated without violating the law of non-contradiction upon experimentation. That's actualization of hypothesis, in which you will vary and manipulate that which you assume caused the phenomena you observed at step 1 to see if it does or does not cause the phenomena. If it does, you validate your alternative hypothesis, A causes B, automatically discounting the zero difference result. A cannot both cause B and not cause B, so you rule out the null hypothesis. Alternatively, if you do not cause the effect you studied at step 1, you validate your zero difference result prediction. If A, not B. Tick. Proven. So in all instances upon actualization of a hypothesis, that's experimentation, you will prove something. Hence, empirical by method. This clown thinks that whether or not people agree has anything to do with the empiricism offered by the scientific method. Now, there is a term used when people incorrectly ascribe the word science to that which has not been through the scientific method. The term is pseudoscience, a category this oxymoronic scientific consensus would absolutely sit in, because it will not and cannot adhere to the method. Agreement of men is what gives you your bull belief, based on flat earth measurements. Learn what science is. Share the show. 105 people watching as you all are educated on what science and the scientific method is, instead of nut gobbler.
And instead of gravitate towards conspiracy theories, believing that the information from the governments and scientific institutions is manipulated or false. There's a general distrust in authority figures and experts, leading some to reject scientific evidence about
You're on mute, Nathan.
Sorry? Say again?
You were on mute there.
Can't hear anything.
Oh, my bad. Sorry, I've got a slight issue, computer issue, and it's causing the mute button to randomly come on. I don't know why. It did it earlier and was coming on and off and on and off and on and off while I was talking. Anyway, that aside, I think just maybe a restart. I'll tell myself. Anyway, let me just get my point. I was just about
this
to get
guy.
out. Go on.
Sorry.
Go on.
Just saying, he keeps going on about this scientific this, and so I'm looking forward to his explanation. He's not giving an explanation or demonstrated this scientific evidence of a globe, which is nothing to do with science. But I wish he'd try and explain that. I'm very interested to hear how he comes out with that term that he's trying to explain.
Well, he can't. It's pseudoscience. It's in a category error. You can't validate a shape through the scientific method, right? You elucidate the cause of natural phenomena. Phenomena is something occurring. He's saying science validated around Earth. No, science doesn't validate shape. He's an idiot. He doesn't understand what science is. Someone else wanted to get a word in. Was it you, Brian? 115 people watching. Please share the show. Clearly not.
about around Earth. Sometimes information does get manipulated, but one thing to look for is peer review.
No. What you would look for if you were going through something claiming to be science was whether or not they actualized a hypothesis or not. That's all you'd look at, because that's what science is. Anything that falls outside that category is pseudoscience, by definition. A claim of science that has not been through the scientific method, that's pseudoscience.
Now, there's also a community and identity that comes with this belief.
No, you're projecting. You have an identity based on your belief in a globe Earth that was derived from flat Earth measurements. You believe that science has validated it after misappropriating this terminology and ascribing it to consensus.
Something that resonates with all humans.
Resonation with humans? Okay, what, how much I shake and rattle? No, mate, I've got measurements of Earth to prove it's flat.
Around shared beliefs. The flat Earth...
No, definitely no belief. Hands up on the panel. We are surrounded by flat earthers currently. Who holds a belief in flat Earth? Speak now. None of us believe it's flat. We all know balls to bones it's flat because that's how it's measured.
Belief has formed into this, offering a sense of belonging and shared identity. Within these communities, there's a reinforcement of
yet more projection. So you openly declare your homosexuality and ball eating, nut eating at the beginning of your video. Yet you're going to accuse me of needing a community when I know how Earth's measured. I built a YouTube community. I have no necessity for it based on my flat Earth belief. Yeah, you need to find your comfort zone with your vegans and homosexuals, though, don't you? You're just projecting.
Beliefs, making it challenging for people to accept evidence that would disrupt that. Social media has brought this to another level by providing platforms for diverse viewpoints, regardless if it's factual or not.
Really? That's interesting you should say that, because I'm heavily suppressed. Anything that vaguely alludes to something that sounds even remotely like the words Nathan Oakley will come up on a search if you search for me. And me, I'll be at the bottom of the list of that search. Why? Well, because I talk about measurements of Earth and how it's flat, how the globe Earth requires those measurements. Suppress him immediately! But yet in your deluded mind, seeing comments that say there are Flat Earth Society members all over the globe, that's us, being prevalent on social media? That's anti-Flat Earth being prevalent on social media, you utter clown. Our opposers are the ones that you're putting up on screen. People being sarcastic and inserting their globe faith whilst demeaning the Flat Earth believers. That's not us. Yeah, you might see some of the clown shoes Flat Earth believers punted to the top of the lists because they make us, the people who know how Earth's measured, look incredibly stupid. Very useful. Maybe we'll censor them to Antarctica, make us look even more stupid. Maybe we'll make a Netflix special with some of them and make Flat Earthers look incredibly stupid.
This is sometimes leads to the spread of misinformation and the amplification of fringe beliefs, including the flat earth theories. Is it the most problematic perspective in the world? No, I don't think so, but the problem could be the deeper distrust that it brings out.
Sorry, what distrust would that be? I mean, my trust level for NASA is 0 because I know they're liars. That's about it. Everyone else, I mean, fair game. If you want to tell me that Earth's a ball by way of your belief, everyone's entitled to that. Just because people around me, in the majority, hold the same belief about being on a ball in a sky vacuum, in violation of entropic law and the measurements that originated that claim, then fine, you're entitled to your belief. I suddenly don't distrust you. Trust has nothing to do with it. I can just say when you are wrong. And why? That's it. Now, does that mean I'm going to distrust you? Generally speaking, yeah, if you've been wrong repeatedly, as you have been, then yeah, I'm going to point out that anybody who wants to pay attention to your veganism activism or your homosexuality activism should ignore it because you're proven untrustworthy based on your lack of research and comprehension of things like science. Why would I trust you on anything else if this is the level of your research? Go ahead, Brian.
Sorry, Nathan. I actually did think again that you were finished. Well, what we have is we don't just have refracted blockage now. Now we have scientific curvature, right? Scientific geometry. That's what these people are claiming as science. And he said earlier, I couldn't come in at the time, I'm sorry. He said earlier, there's a bit of manipulation goes on. Yeah, there is, of the actual measurement of Earth, right? And how that's presented to the public. Because it's not presented showing the public exactly how it's measured. It's measured and then the public are shown a globe. Right? That's a bit of manipulation. Yeah, and another thing he said, it's not the biggest problem in the world. Oh, yes, it is. For you, not for me. And for all the people like you. You just don't know it yet. Thanks.
I believe it. Neil's being really badly behaved. You're spamming my chat, Neil. You're a moderator. Can you knock it off? And what's wrong with Neil today? He's testing my patience, so I can tell you that. He's literally spamming the chat. Anyway. I'll keep half an eye on the chat because one of the moderators is spamming it. Now he's rumpusing me. Go ahead, Neil.
And when this guy's saying in distress,
if I'm ready, and I said yes. So that's all. But I won't no more. I'll leave the freaking chat.
You're a moderator. You're spamming individual letters to fill the chat with spam. Anyway, we'll discuss this in the after show. What the hell?
Scientists have told us for decades about the risks of climate change, especially now, and it's an extra challenge when you have a public that distrusts them. As environmental and social issues continue happening, our ability to solve these issues relies on good information. For people to identify with fringe sources, it's not always grounded in reality with other people. And if you know a flat earther, talk to them about what they think, but don't get too carried away with them because they can talk a lot. We have a duty as climate media creatives, scientists,
Sorry, it's like they can talk a lot. Yeah, we absolutely can, especially to a fundy idiot like you. Go on, Chocolate.
No, I'm sorry, man. I was just yeah, all day.
Yeah, all day. Yeah, we can talk all day to you about your stupidity. With his climate change, what was it? Environmental and social issues. Why did they have to add in social and social? Well, environmental and social. Like, what's the social issue you're worried about? Is it your gay agenda, or by any chance?
No, it's his nut-eating agenda.
Yeah, his gay agenda. That's what he's really, because he really doesn't actually care about the facts. He just wants some way to crowbar in his agenda.
I mean, not that his agenda is really that offensive. Eating nuts, who cares?
Advocates to be able to really push back against misinformation. I mean, it was recently found here on YouTube that YouTube...
Yeah, he's definitely just putting his agenda. Push back? Come on.
YouTube is pushing climate denialism videos. And if you Google flat earth theory, you'll find tons of conspiracy videos, typically by older white men, or also different people.
Older white men? As a black man, I feel extremely offended.
Well, technically, he's been quite a racist there in some ways, but I don't care about his nonsense.
You know.
If this guy or anyone else wants to challenge me on that topic, because I know that they don't know anything about the topic they're claiming is a real thing, right? I can take them apart in no time.
Do we class the Irish as white? Are you, strictly speaking, do we still consider you white? Are you one of us?
Well, I don't know. How would a black person describe me?
Yeah, but you're Irish.
Right. That doesn't mean that my skin is not Caucasian.
I don't necessarily want to share much of my white privilege with you, Brian. You're Irish.
Well, there is some book came out years ago about how the Irish became white. It was something to do with how we got a hold of some of the privilege of being white in America by becoming firemen and police and all this kind of stuff. But anyway, that's a completely separate issue.
No. I'm very interested. If you've earned your whiteness, I'm quite keen to hear about that.
I don't care. I don't care at all about it.
Neither do I. I'm just making a mockery. I'm just mocking the videographer. This is us mocking him. I'm not actually in this character, Brian.
Talking about these beliefs, I mean, there's also, I believe, a flat earth conference that is hosted here in the United States for flat earthers, and there's a lot of videos of people who have gone to those conferences just to document what happens, and it's very scary to see the amount of people. I mean, like, if you look from the flat earth...
Why is it scary? You went to a ghost hunter convention and it had 10,000 people there. Would you go, oh, it's really scary, how many people think there's ghosts? I'd be like, yeah, there's a lot of nutters about. So what?
Theory to even the hollow earth theory, that's something that's another topic to talk about.
It's not a theory. You're in a category error.
Theory.
Yep.
Will you stop with your theory, right? He doesn't know what, because the only theory he knows is colloquial theory. He doesn't know scientific theory. He doesn't know what category he's in.
Exactly, he's in a category
just one of these happy-go-lucky guys who just makes videos without any research and thinks, you don't need to research this. It's pretty evident what it is, because I heard what it was going to be and what it is from other people like me who didn't research and learn anything. Here's a video.
Yeah, I mean, I remember in the 80s and 90s, them moaning about how the public were being, quote-unquote, dumbed down by TV, and how the people who made the scheduling were intentionally putting stuff on that made people more stupid. Now here we are with it algorithmically fine-tuned to the point where it's self-perpetuating stupidity. So like you just described, this guy goes on, searches flat Earth, and what does he find? Well, he's going to find predominant comments that say things like there are flat earthers all over the globe, and Simon Dan telling him that we're idiots, and that it's self-evident based on baseless assertion that, well, obviously it's a globe because it's a globe, because it's a globe. And he goes, oh, yeah, this is a really easy subject to cover. And then he perpetuates the same stupid baseless assertions and nonsense that he's gleaned from a surface-level YouTube search. So YouTube's algorithm is literally doing what TV was criticised for in the 80s and 90s. It's dumbing everybody down.
Even better than it used to.
Yeah,
actually.
That's what I said.
TV.
Algorithmically enhanced to dumb people down these days.
Because people like him, what's the first thing he come out with? Or not maybe the first, often the first thing, or it's very close to the first thing. He come out and say, we know the earth is round. Now, straight away, he doesn't understand the difference between spherical, 3-dimensional shape, and round, 2-dimensional flat. So straight away, he doesn't understand the geometry of what he just said. And he come out saying, we know. To say that means, okay, how do you know? It's not the question that what's his name? George Orwell used to ask people. He used to go out on the streets in London and ask people. Way back. He's like, what's the world? It's a globe. How do you know? No one can give him an answer. You can't know it's a globe.
Like most of these globes, he's like most of them, O'Brien. He's not even mentioned measurement once.
No, he's talked about scientific consensus.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's it.
He's on speaking about flat earthers. He saw it's all about flat earthers. It's nothing about any argument.
I think it is important to know that while these beliefs back then in 2000 may have seemed harmless and they're made fun of in other popular sitcom TV shows or even in animated shows with Netflix, it's important to understand that climate education today is being threatened. Obviously, we've seen with Florida banning certain types of climate education and providing models from PragerU Foundation around, comparing climate change activists to Nazis or saying that solar...
This is completely non sequitur, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's a little agenda he's worried about. Because he thinks, what happens to these people? They listen to a lot of mainstream rubbish about some topic. In this instance, it's climate change, right? Which happens 4 times a year in certain parts of the world. It's happening 4 times a year here. There's a change of climate. It causes seasons, right? But he believes a lot of rubbish from the mainstream, right? He is that total guy, right? And then he's worried about all the false information that's proving all his mainstream information to be a crock of rubbish. You know what I mean? That's what he's worried about. I have all this mainstream information, and they're showing how it's wrong. They must be some kind of fringe maniacs, or you're just wrong.
Surely there can't be people who are watching him and coming away thinking, God, that was brilliant. This guy has got some serious points. I'm glad I watched that video because I know something now. That can't be happening, surely.
Yeah, what could you possibly learn from this guy's video? Go on.
That is really what is really happening. That is what is happening. That guy, it's most intelligent for more people. That is for people listening. When they listen that sentence is, oh, I knew that is not a flat at all. They will watch all that video. Even it's easier to get that video on YouTube than all others.
I mean, this guy represents what he's gleaned from YouTube because he's a tiny little YouTuber. And his reaction, surface level or otherwise, to build up his channel, he's like, what can I cover that's going to hopefully garner some views? In this case, it hasn't worked. He's gathered up a couple of hundred views in 3 weeks. But by the same token, it does demonstrate to us what people garner or garnish from the information that's out there. What I've just described as being, algorithmically dumbed down. And this is what it produces.
Are just as bad. I think these are examples that we are fighting against, and I think conspiracy theories, as much as we laugh at them, there are so many people who have lost their lives, people's families who have been separated.
Right, nobody died, nobody got hurt. What are you babbling about? So many people have lost their lives. What? Excuse me? I mean, if you want to stretch, you could say Mad Mike went up in a steam rocket, which he'd have done anyway, with a flat earth sponsor on the side of it. At best. So that's one. And it's a bit of a stretch. Do you want to name a few more? Or is this spaceless assertion just going to get chucked out there?
By these types of harmful beliefs, and I think it is important that we work together to understand where that distrust is coming from, and a lot of it is the
So what distress? You just said there was loads of deaths. What are you babbling about?
Well, let me put it this way, right? If any pilot, commercial pilot, decides to account for curvature, there will be lots of deaths.
Yeah, they'd be heading to a void that doesn't exist. And met with the ground where they thought a void would be, opening up ahead of them as Earth curves away, opening
refraction.
up. It doesn't.
Sorry, I'm saying it's just refraction. It's not really there. I can keep flying, everything's going to be fine. Let's be honest. If you were a pilot and you tried to go off of what the globe claim is, you'd be flying into a solid Earth, right, or ocean, with the belief that it's not really there, that it's just some form of over 6R. Wouldn't you? Let's be real. That's what you would do. And nobody would be strapped in the plane. You wouldn't be asking anyone to strap in while you're doing this big dive down towards the Earth, because there's no need to strap in. Absolutely no need. You're just accounting for 8 inches per mile squared of drop.
Yeah, don't strap
Everything's
in.
going to be fine.
Gravity will sort you out. It's magic.
Yeah. Sorry for cutting you off.
institutional field resources that are often being provided to these people that are obviously poor. And
sorry, what? What? I mean, that's a bit too close to the bone. I mean, I am really poor. So, by just pure chance, you happen to have struck a chord with that particular one. Yeah, one of the consequences of being shoved to the bottom of the list is I am incredibly poor. However, I am so blessed that everyone around me recognises that, and recognises that I absolutely, without question, require their financial support to keep going. So I am basically funded by my audience, not by the YouTube ad revenue. Doesn't matter how much work I put into a video. Yeah? Now, you're a newbie. You'll find this out and probably give up pretty quickly. But me, 10 or 15 years into videography on YouTube, I know that they're never going to favour me in that regard. But that's not how I keep the bills paid and the lights on here. It's done by the love and support of my very, very dedicated audience. Yeah? People sending me PayPals and Patreons. That's what keeps the lights on. But why? Why is that necessary? Well, because I'm not going to receive any YouTube algorithmic love. Yeah, that makes me poor. But it's not because of a lack of education. I was educated privately. My parents were quite wealthy at the point that I was being educated. So you can't say that I'm poorly educated. No, definitely not. Meanwhile, the thing I cover is heavily suppressed, meaning that it gives me a limited means of earning revenue from the ads and such like. That's unfortunate, but is, to a degree, not stopping me from doing this. It just keeps me on a knife edge. Yeah, but that means I am poor, he's right. This is me babbling around the fact that he's right with this single point just by chance. Yeah, I'm poor. Get lost.
Don't get me wrong, I mean, like,
Go on.
Yeah, but flat earthers would be a lot less poor if they were favoured. Not favoured. They just have to be treated. If they were just treated fair by social media, so like YouTube. I mean, if you had double the amount of subscribers you have and double the amount of money coming in, your life would be so much better. Just with that, just by doubling that amount. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And after 10 years solid of doing YouTube videos on this specialist subject, I'd hope to be a lot larger than I am. Oh, no, I'm not going to bellyache about that fact, because I can't say this with any sort of truthful behind it because I've got no stats to back it. But I would expect that even if I was double the size, it wouldn't necessarily afford me as much as I do get from a dedicated audience who are prepared. I don't know how long ago, it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago. One of the viewers watched a video where about a week prior, so it was an Uncut and After show that was on the second channel, it had come out a week to 10 days later, I was moaning that I was heavily overdrawn, because I was. Now, they sent me several £100 just out of the blue to clear your overdraft. And it just arrived in PayPal. I'm like, oh my God! You know, and from that day to this, it's meant that I've not spent the entire time stressing about a stupid, to most people, little overdraft. To me, it's a lot. A few £100 is very stressful. But the point is that when I told my mother about it last night, she was like, how's the show going? And I'm like, well, I gave her a few gripes. She's dealing with her husband dying, my father. So she doesn't want to know my concerns too much. But by the same token, I told her generally what's going on, but also dropped into the conversation that someone had dropped several £100 on me via PayPal. And she's like, wow, why does that happen? I'm like, that's my audience. They want to keep the lights on. And if I bellyache about being a bit poor, that will often happen. People will just drop a chunk of money on me. So I'm not really, really poor. And what other audience could you ever imagine would do that in anywhere on YouTube? I mean, there might be some examples. I'm not going to say that I'm completely unique in this. I'm sure there are other examples. But I'm just saying, it's probably very rare that people go, no, I'm so enthused by this guy's subject, and recognise how small the channel is and how that is going to limit the possibilities of this guy continuing just based on what YouTube will give him. Therefore, I'll dip into my pocket. And none of the people, to my knowledge, have been millionaires or anything. They're just normal people.
I understand that, but if you had 50,000 subscribers and all of the Patreons and super chats and everything that comes with that, and when you're doing a live show, you'll have 200 people on average, 200 plus people as opposed to 100 plus people, you wouldn't need to ask for that extra few bob because you wouldn't have the issue. That would be covered.
Right. Speaking of a few
You know
extra
what I mean?
bob, right, just as we're moaning about it, so I just want to get this off my chest. I moaned in the pre-show, I'm going to moan now, I know we're live. Right, I've been doing this job, I will call it a job, it is a job, for at least, say, 5 years, full-time. That is to say, I've had an accountant, paid taxes, it's a proper job, for a very long time. Well, recently in England, some of the laws changed in terms of how my wife, who garners up this money, it's spent on classes and educational supplies for our kids, but we get a certain amount of government support, as does everybody in the UK, for having a couple of kids. Now, that became means tested, and they wanted to talk to me. This is the job centre, right? So they've been having me in, very irritating, to talk about my self-employment, because it's means tested based on what they give us for our kids. And they phoned me up because I missed an appointment on Friday, I think it was, and were telling me that I need to be made aware that after 18 months of their assessment, regardless of if I reach the minimum amount that they dictate I must be earning or not, I will be considered to be earning that amount when they means test the amount they give us for our kids. I'm like, so what you're saying is even if I don't reach the minimum, which I haven't so far, you'll still consider me making that minimum? Yep, absolutely, because you should be making that amount by now. So, I mean, all I can do to the job centre, which just makes me feel just dirty. It's like I don't need to be in the job centre. I've been unemployed at various points in my life between jobs and had to go into the job centre and claim benefits. Now, that's something that you do out of necessity, but when you're working really hard, you don't want to go in and say, yeah, okay, fine, I'm not earning enough money, according to you, so that you can means test the pittance that you give us for having a couple of kids like everyone gets. But that's the situation I'm in. The job centre moaning at me that I'm not reaching the minimums that they would expect me to reach. And I just think, I don't care. You know, I know we live on a shoestring budget and, you know, scrimp, but I still say it with a smile because I think, would I change anything? I've got my kids at home. At the moment, they're not making any noise, which is nice. But, you know, I get to spend all of my days watching them grow up. And that is the main outcome. As much as I can say, yeah, my main purpose is to do YouTube being on flat earth, which is true also. But why? That's still a job. I still want to be able to pay the bills so I can spend the time with my kids and raise them and educate them. So does my wife. She works part-time also. So we know we're going to be poor as a result of that. But it's nice that, just to get back to the main point of all this long ramble, it's nice that even with a small YouTube channel, I can still support myself just. even if I am having the job centre moan at me. That's only because of the people who give me cash, literally Patreons and PayPals and Coffee. That's the other one, isn't it? Coffee, Ko-Fi, whatever I call it. You know, that thank you, all of you people who support me. I wouldn't be here. It's every single month. In the pre-show, I shouted out a guy called Michael. He used to drop £50 or $50 super chats on me. But he said, you lose a percentage of your super chats. I'll give you in PayPals. And literally every single month, he drops $50 on me. Religiously. Every single month. For years now. And it makes him mad. It normally comes around really poor. But I gave him an extra special shout out today. I've just been in that mood. I just feel very grateful today, you know, for what I do have, rather than bleating, which is precisely what I am doing. I do want to give out the love and say thanks to all the people who keep me on air, because it's really important. And a lot of YouTubers out there won't get that. Now, I'll just round this out by saying one last thing that I heard last week, which was that apparently Simon Dan had run a GoFundMe, which wasn't particularly successful. Now, I don't know if subsequently he's done a few more shout-outs and raised the money that he wanted for new equipment, so he can do better experiments or whatever he was claiming that he needed the equipment for. Something that I can relate to, right? I've done similar GoFundMes successfully. Now, even with hundreds of thousands of subs, Dan hasn't managed to garner that sort of support from his audience, because they're not the same audience. They're not the type of person that's going to go to his video and religiously watch Simon Dan because they're dedicated to his cause. They only get there for a bit of pain relief, or as a cursory search will lead them to him. That's it. You're not going to get dedicated audience members that are wanting to support GoFundMe campaigns. You're just going to get people who have a cursory glance at your stuff, affirm their bias, and get on with their day, believing that they're on a globe thanks to Simon Dan. Now here, totally different story. You know, I get heartfelt messages with the donations, people encouraging me to keep going, people saying that they really do appreciate what I'm doing and want to show that to me financially. Now, but for the fact that people do that, I would not be here. So I've got to express my gratitude, and I'm glad I'm doing it on a live show.
Well, what I would say is I find it funny that the job centre are giving you a hard time because you're not meeting the quota. They need to contact YouTube. You know what I mean? It's like, why am I being bothered by you, kind of thing? What do you want? You're self-employed.
Because they're giving us money.
You're in there.
Because they're giving us money.
Sorry?
Because they're giving us money. That's it.
I understand that. But I'm saying, it's like, contact YouTube then. If you have a problem with me not making the money you think I should be making. I know. It's like, who are you telling here? You know what I mean? Bloody, they're the same everywhere you go, these types of institutions, aren't they? There's no forethought goes into anything.
You know, the other thing she moaned about, right? I don't do any of this. I'm so lazy. I've got an accountant. I asked my wife to deal with all of these things with the accountant, so I have zero involvement because I just can't be bothered with it. I hate it, in fact. Anyway, one of the things I can do when you're processing tax is claim a certain amount of expenses. So I gather up all my receipts, give them to the wife. She processes them to the accountant. She processes them to the tax office. But in the meantime, my wife also has to process that to this stupid child benefit thing. So she sends all the expenses off to them. So while I'm on the phone with them on Friday, she's like, "You can't claim for coffee." I'm like, "What?" She's like, "You can't claim it. You need to go back for the last 3 months." I'm like, "What?" "You need to go back into the portal, you need to use this code, and you need to change all your expenses and take out all of the refreshments, because you can't claim for those." I'm like, "Okay, fine." It's like, when I was a rep, most of the expenses were things like that, right? So obviously there's different rules for different jobs, not that I'm aware of it, but I don't care. It's like, you just process your receipts. And now I'm being told by the job centre, who... I don't make it sound like I don't see any of this money. I see my kids going to the classes that the money pays for. So I can't say I don't see any of this money because it goes into my wife's account and gets spent on the kids. It's like, well, that's what it's for. So I say we do see this money, but it just aggrieves me greatly to sit in a job centre and justify, yeah, I'm starting to do Omi TV videos to try and generate a few more views. Yeah, I'm writing a book at the moment. Yeah, I'm all to the grindstone as much as I possibly can, trying to drum up more interest in my channel, drum up more interest via a book, drum up more interest by doing different projects that involve different audiences and different formats of videos. I'm saying this to somebody who's not offering me like work. I'm in the job centre with a job. You're like, why am I here? This is infuriating. Anyway.
So, let me ask you a question, right? Now, you would probably say no to this because you're a negative type of a fella.
Well, thanks.
But you're welcome. At this stage, surely there must be a case, pun intended now, to be made for the treatment that, let's just say, I get off of YouTube. There must be a case, just me as an example, there must be a case to be made there. It's like, I am not being treated the same as their other employees or workers or whatever. You know, the other channels. How come all channels are not treated equal? I mean, that has to be an issue at this stage. Because it's not just Flat Out. Like, Flat Out was the original. They came down on us first, right? And they've come down on us the hardest. I don't know of any other. I've literally, Nathan, there was a girl, and she had 50 or 60,000 subscribers there recently that I was subscribed to. And she said she was going off of YouTube because she was sick of this thing and that thing and the other thing. And then kind of going, you have like 60,000 subscribers. I have 1,500 subscribers. If I had 60,000 subscribers, I wouldn't have any money problems. And you're complaining. So, and she's complaining about things not going her way on YouTube. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like we are so much at the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
Surely at this stage, something can be done about this.
The thing is, I remember when I was a rep dealing with really rich people, and their problems are no different to anyone else's. Just the scale of what they're purchasing is bigger and more expensive because they've got a higher income. But the idea that the rich are really rich, it's like, no, the amount of rich people I used to talk about the same woes and concerns about being broke at the end of the month and having spent it all. And you're like, yeah, but you've spent it all on the lease for your Lamborghini and your mansion. And you're like, yeah, but some people think that I've just got loads of money. And at the end of the month, it's all disappeared and they're bleating. And you're like, yeah, but you get to drive the Lamborghini, don't you? But that's all that somebody who's lower down the pecking order sees. Well, you get the Lamborghini. The guy who's actually owning the Lamborghini and worrying about whether or not the job will give him that raise that to take him into a position where he isn't, you know, just all of his commitments getting covered by his $100,000 a month salary. You're like, but you got $100,000 a month salary. And their argument would be, yeah, but I still don't get to see any of it. It all disappears. You know, it's weird. You go for higher up and you think they're going to have...
I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. You have to stop you there. No. I don't have any sympathy for rich guys. If you can't handle your money correctly, if you decide you need to have a Lamborghini before you can actually afford a Lamborghini and 10 Lamborghinis, then you shouldn't be in one.
I'm not suggesting I've got sympathy for him. I'm just saying...
I'm not trying to drive a brand new car that I can't afford.
Right, but let's say I earned double than what I did now. I'd still be earning F all. But let's say I was earning double of F all, right? Or what would change? Well, I might be able to get some of the stuff that I can't afford to get fixed. Yeah. And I might be able to afford a lease on a car. But then I'm still at zero at the end of the month, so I still moan. Does that make sense?
No, you would have savings to go on a holiday or to do this or buy that, and these little things. Let's all go out for dinner tonight, as opposed to we can't because we can't afford it. Things like that. So yeah, would you be rich if you had double the money you have? Absolutely not. But you would be able to have luxuries that you can't have now.
Yeah.
And the same, if I just double the amount of money per week that I currently have, just double it, because I know how to use money, I would be living so. I mean, my life would just change. Now, that would be no offense. Or not, I don't. What I mean is, like, double the amount of money I have wouldn't be very much money. But the point being, I'm telling everyone they're on board, but the point being is that my lifestyle would be so much better just with double that money.
See, I don't necessarily agree. I assessed it the other way once. So before we had kids,
for the Lamborghini.
No, I'm going to go the other way. No, I'm going the other way now. So at a point, just as I was going to go into YouTubing, so just before I went into part-time YouTubing, my wife and I sat down and we had a proper discussion about where financially this would lead, because I was trying to talk her into going part-time. In essence, what I was suggesting to her was, let's take a 50% pay cut, have half as much money coming into the household compared to what it was. And not only that, half as much with a very volatile 50% of that half, my half, would be very volatile and potentially fail at any point, right? And do that whilst producing children. Should we do that? And we looked at it and went, we can do this. We can be as frugal. In other words, we can cut back and cut back and cut back to the point where, no, we're not doing any of those what you call luxuries. Yeah? You're cutting it all out as much as humanly possible so that you can have the time, right? So you become time rich. I wish that was true. I'm saying it and now I'm lying because the amount of time YouTube takes up. It's just not true at all. But in theory, you become time rich and then you get to spend more time with your kids and enjoy life. Just without the means to do stuff with the time, you then have to, fill that time with things that you can find enjoyment in without spending money. Going to the park, walks, spending time with friends and family, all those sorts of things that don't cost any money. But occupy your life in a fun way. So, I don't know, you can go the other way as well.
What I heard there is, not now, Eleanor, I tried to overclock this computer. And I'm walking in the park, giving out about all the money I don't have. That's what I heard. And complaining to someone who's your friend or family member. At
the beginning of the show, I was moaning about this stupid computer that's probably had about £7,000 or £8,000 dumped into it over the course of 2 years. Anyway, first world problems for sure.
What is this? Have you lost the plot? Is this Ann Landers or Dr. Phil or something?
I'm sorry.
Why don't you get back?
Schedule
Have you lost it?
Turned into The View.
No kidding. And then you Jedi mind trick the audience and they join in.
Are the audience enjoying themselves? Let me know from the chat. We should be doing a video. We're in the middle of a video. We just talked about finances because the guy said these guys are uneducated and poor. And of course, he struck a nerve with me because I am.
They're trying to get me to feel sorry for rich guys again.
No, I'm just saying people higher up the scale seem to have the same woes. That's all I'm saying. Shout out to T.
No, they don't.
In my experience from talking to them and selling them stuff, when you're haggling with them and they're like, well, why wouldn't you just buy the £10,000 more expensive preamp? You've got the money, haven't you? No, I haven't just got the money. That's a misapprehension. And then they tell you why. Like I would tell you why. Anyway, shout out to TVH. Nathan, you crack me up laughing so much when you say glurf. Dunning-Kruger, numpty idiot clown show pretenders who think level is curved. Yeah, exactly. Dunning-Kruger pretender clown muppets is definitely a QE-ism. Thank you for the super chat.
You better put back on the video and leave QE here some of it.
Okay, well, you can hear some of it.
When I was studying as a teenager, I looked into a lot of climate change conspiracy theories, but this is back in the late 2000s, and I was just interested in learning and just being like, is global warming real, or is it actually like fake, or is it actually real? And I obviously found so much information to prove it's real, but again, like these are examples back then.
Ed?
Yeah, he said late, besides all the other stuff he said that's nothing to do with the title of the video, late 2000s. What the hell is that? That'll be almost 21,000, whatever, the late 2000s. Well, what's he thought of it?
I think he means like up to 2009. I think that's what he means.
How do you know? He could mean up to 2019.
He could.
Or up to 2099. Who knows?
Matthew Eastman says, when does the book go on the market? Hopefully before Christmas, Matthew. So fortunately, I can give you a fairly accurate time because Adam actually drew up a spreadsheet to show which chapters had been gone through and which hadn't. And some of the bigger chapters have all been done, and there's about 5 or I think it's 6 chapters of the book that still need revision. They're all written, they just need redoing. And then it'll go to the publisher, have one last look through, and then it'll get published. So hopefully before Christmas, with a bit of luck. I've said it before and I've said it again. The standards, again, as much as I'm telling the job centre, oh yeah, I've got a book that'll help with my revenue income, etc., etc. The standard has to be very, very high. And in the back of my mind, I knew this all along. The book's going to be heavily scrutinised, like incredibly heavily scrutinised. If there's one comma out of place in that book, people will note it. So it has to be of a very high standard. Therefore, the level of scrutiny that it's under currently is absolutely warranted and will result in an absolutely fantastic product. It already is. So I'm not shy about bigging up this book when it comes out. It will be fantastic. There is no other way to describe it. And it will be family friendly, use certificate, worthy of passing on as a reference for this subject matter. So when will it come out? When it's done. But hopefully that's before Christmas. Shout out to Andrew, who joined as a penguin.
Even in the 2000s as a kid, it's like there wasn't that much climate education resources for me to even look into, and I could have easily fallen into that trap too. And luckily I majored in environmental science and took a lot of climate change courses. But again, I think that's just like another thing where it is our duty as creatives on here.
So if you are referencing science in terms of climate change, then presumably you can actually validate this with the scientific method if you were to understand what it is, and you do not. So there's a potential to suggest that you have observed phenomena that could be put through the method. That will not be the case with climate change. Nevertheless, it's just another hijacking of this empirical methodology by terminology that doesn't actually utilise the method, aka pseudoscience.
To support these platforms that talk about climate education that are 100% factual. They're
100% factual in terms of their scientific validity that they offer when they offer conjecture and speculation. And none of them are going to have that. Go on.
Sorry. I keep thinking you're stopped. It's about the third or fourth time today. You're not. Go on ahead. I'm sorry.
I was done. You were right.
All right, sorry. I was going to say, yeah, they're 100% factual, as in they're exactly the rhetoric that has been put out as climate change. So every part of that will be 100% connected to and directly in line with climate change. All you have to do now is prove the existence of it in the manner that they're speaking. You know what I mean? Scientifically, which they can't, because it's all made up. You know what I mean? It's all like, we observe this thing here and that thing over there and this temperature over here. So we put all these things together and we come up with some nonsense. And then we add legs to it. That's all it is. It's like, yeah, have things changed? Yes, they have changed. Things are different now, weather-wise, than they were 30 years ago, let's just say. Yes, that is true. But 30 years before that was different from 30 years ago as well.
You know, I've started to hear various conspiracy theorists, as this guy's referring to them, right, saying, nah, the reason for all this propaganda about climate change is because they're hiding the real truth. And that's that we're heading for a big freeze. Be afraid. Be very afraid.
Yeah, the ice age.
Well, it was important to change the wording, right? Because when it was an incoming ice age and then they realized it was getting warmer, they said, oh, shit, we got to change it. Then they called it global warming. And then when they realized, well, it's not warming the way we said it was, they got to change it to something else. Let's change it to climate change. But what does climate do?
Change.
Right. Thanks. So thank you, Captain Obvious, all the scientists out there who wanted to call climate change climate changing, which is what climate does.
Captain Obvious. He's a Nancy tree hugger, this dude. It's amateur night.
Fear-based mind control he's been victim to. Oh no, we're going to boil. It's boiling. The world is getting hotter. Oh no, it's going to get colder. We're all going to freeze to death. Yeah, whatever.
How many places were told that they were going to be underwater by 1996?
We were. I remember the jokes about it in the 90s. The Scottish people saying that they were looking forward to it when they're sitting watching the English drown holding a coconut.
It was back in the 70s. They said by 2000, Florida would be underwater.
Yeah.
It makes me laugh when David Attenborough, what did he say last time? Global sea levels are rising. Global sea levels.
Possibility.
That was science back then, boy.
The oxymoronic global sea levels rising was science, was it?
No, Florida underwater. That's science. Science back then.
They're 100% science and also work with institutions and nonprofits and governments to help amplify these types of concerns. Thanks for watching, and be sure
They work with governments to help amplify the concerns. What?
to like the video, leave a comment with something you'd like or other topics you'd like for me to explore.
Okay, so I would advise my audience, yeah, pop along. He's only had a couple of 100 views. We can probably double his view count just by this audience toddling along, which isn't normally the case. We're normally the smaller YouTuber. But I'll put a link to his video in the comment section of the live stream chat right now. So if you are watching, there's 118 of you, please go and let this guy know. At Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me with a polite comment, and maybe suggest he covers the scientific method in a later video. He'll find that out if he comes here.
I'll leave him a polite comment, all right.
Yeah, got to be a polite comment or it'll get removed by the YouTube censors or him.
Yeah, but it'll get removed, but the satisfaction of leaving it is the thing. Sometimes you know the comment won't make it, but you just want to say it.
Gotcha.
Okay, well, we're done with him. Isaac, or whatever he's called, Hernandez. Thank you for your making of a video. Shame you don't know what science is. Now you know why you've got a whole bunch of my audience coming to let you know that I sent them.
He doesn't need to. People aren't going to this video or this guy to get straight facts, in quotes, about the globe and how it proves that flat Earth is wrong. This is a blanket tucker. This is somebody you go to just listen to him say, yes, of course it's a globe, right? Oh, okay, thank you. And then you can go to sleep nice and comfortably with your blanket tucked, knowing that you live on a globe and everything's great.
You call him Blanket Tucker.
If you like this, I'll be back with more debunking videos in the future, and I want to hear your thoughts about the flat Earth theory.
What do you? The soup sandwich, Nancy.
Debunking. His video has absolutely zero information in it about any topic.
Exactly.
So I was refreshing it to look if anybody had actually left any comments. Yep, people have. Thank you very much for those of you who've left comments saying at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me.
Well, this is how he's not as stupid as he's coming across, because someone him or what I mean is that from a YouTube point of view, he knows if he jumps onto this subject, it does generate activity. It will generate people subscribing to your channel or people attacking your channel or whatever. He knows that that type of video will generate some kind of activity. So he'll gain some kind of subscribers out of it. He knows that will happen. But
you know what a complete Nancy stranger tree hugger's thoughts are? Really?
Well,
you validate that.
No, he's not a Nancy tree hugger. He's a homosexual vegan. No, he is.
I know. That's
what I just said. That's what I just said. You didn't get that part? Break down Nancy tree hugger.
And he likes nuts.
Okay. Anyway. Fun. Anything else before we round out and ask people to stay tuned?
Has Huey anything to say or to add about anything? He must have something to say.
He must have.
Yeah, get stuck.
Okay, well, I'll endeavour to do that. But with that, I'll say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow.
Just moving on to try and debunk an observation that was done by Tinfoil Hat Man. But it got Adam had joined, and I didn't know. It was a Michael Kahn or someone told me Adam was in there. Adam had joined, and Adam was in there a while. And I heard it going on, and I had to join as well, because Adam was holding him to task on level. Adam, and me too, but I have to give it to Adam, wasn't leaving him move off a level, not even half an inch. Like, this guy was supposed to be presenting some kind of debunk of something, and he spent 2 hours, right, not being allowed to leave level, right. That's all great. You can't go into that though until you define level, till we get to what level is. And Adam would not let him leave level. Absolutely not. Now, I was there too, and not for as long as Adam was, but I did join. And he was like, at the end, he just, because he all he was doing was trying to overtalk him, and Adam was just started overtalking him. Just like, yeah, I'm going to keep talking, even if you're trying to overtalk me. I'm just going to keep talking straight through the middle of you. And Adam was getting drunker and drunker, and Adam started abusing him. He just lost all respect for him, started abusing him at one point.
Thing is, Brian, it's one of them words on the 30 words. Go one better than that. Just don't let them use that word, because they shouldn't be using level anyway, especially when they're trying to describe curvature. It's got nothing to do with it.
Yeah, it was just nonsense. He was trying to debunk something that was just not debunkable for him. You know what I mean? He was trying to, and he got to the word level, which he had to go to at the start, and after that, he couldn't get anywhere past that.
It's funny, and it's come to like you're having to try and argue with people about what level means. I mean, come on. This is where it's how fucking
so
stupid it's got.
Like, but it is the one day, because so stupid that anyone listening in, like, as I said, that guy, the first comment I got on the video I made earlier, this guy saying, yeah, level is flat. No shit, Sherlock. You know what I mean? It's like he doesn't realise, Bobby doesn't realise, just some randomer. They just happened to see it or something. It's like, I don't think you realise, like, that people actually don't want to accept what level is. They don't want to accept it. They want to make it into something else. At one point, Andrew Johnson told me, well, it is whatever you need it to be when you need it to be something. Like, he basically told me that level was fluid. You know, it can be all kinds of things.
Have you had any feedback from your trip to Flatzoids?
Which one? The presentation?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I had feedback from that. Oh, well, Flatzoid gave me feedback. I got feedback from someone else. But I got loads of feedback from it. I looked at there's a good few comments on it now. And there was a lot of people. There was people in there calling it Black Swan 2.0, and this should have been the real final experiment, or this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? All the things we were saying. So a lot of people really liked it. Even David Weiss liked it, but I don't think he addressed it after that. But he did put in a comment saying that was a great presentation. You know, but I mean, I suppose I suppose I don't know. See, David Weiss is trying to get back into the good books of flat earthers. Do you know what I mean? So I mean, why would he even say that? I don't know, but he did anyway.
Did he say no?
That, I don't. Sorry. Come on, Dick.
Sorry, did he say he now knows the Earth is flat 100% without a doubt?
Well, there you go. You see, he can't say he doesn't know. He can never say no, he doesn't know, because there is proof that gives you a knowing. He can't say that now. That's why I wrote about it in Ballbusters, but that a few days ago. But that's the thing. He can't say he doesn't know. You know, there is proof in the story. There you go. That is measurement. End of. No.
Yeah, he probably gave a good comment because it is a good presentation, Brian. I mean, it is.
Yeah, I did it a little bit different than the one I did on the Ballbusters. And the reason what I didn't have Adams and QE's portions because they weren't there. So what I did is I amalgamated the basic presentation that I did on Ballbusters But I added in at the end their responses to the original presentation and the pitch data, and how ridiculous their responses are. Because it's not an argument, it's just a fact. Pitch data is just a fact, right? It's not an argument. Like as I said on the night, I think it's like green is just green. You know what I mean? It's not purple, it's not red, it's green. You can't argue with it. It is what it is, kind of thing. So what I added in was their responses to it, and I showed how not only how completely unrealistic and ridiculous their responses are, but how completely unworkable they are in the real world. What actually happens? That even if what they were trying to say was happening was basically gyros that were fluid in space, not rigid, which is basically their claim. And even if under a completely hypothetical scenario, what they were trying to claim was happening, all it would result in would be the plane constantly gaining in altitude because there'd be no one to correct the plane to follow the gyro, kind of thing, right? And other things. So it just went into that, and it was an add-on to the original presentation. So, and I'm hoping to get onto other channels in the future, bigger channels with the presentation. That's what I'm trying to do at present. So we'll see what happens there.
Have you spoken to Mark?
I just had one message with him. He messaged me. I sent him a message. He replied, and I gave him one more, and he said he'd get back to me. He said he'd get back to me on it. So he just said he's rescheduled things around because the way he's doing the show now with at present, I can't remember, but he said he'd get back to me. So I presume he will.
Yeah, if you can go on Mark's show, mirror that, people will want to hear it again on their show. So yeah.
Well, Mark's show will get a lot of. Go on, one day.
I was just saying, I mean, I've seen that presentation and all that, and I've watched your stuff on that. Have you got anything like condensed, right? Rather than going into like a big debate and having to show, I know we can say pitch data proof. Have you got a condensed version of that pitch data, like the 1.2 times square root to observer's height in feet, something like that, where we can just present it in like if he's having a bit of a one-to-one with someone, where you could reference the source and what it's, we've got this data and that's what it's telling you. Have you got something along them lines? Just a condensed, short, quick hit version?
Well, yeah, I have a diagram which shows 1,000 miles over their globe and 1,000 miles horizontally, and it with the pitch data above it, and it shows which one will it fit. Which one does it? The pitch data is an exact duplicate of the 1,000 miles horizontally. If that is that what you're talking about? You're talking about something that's more maths based, because there is it's like if you're looking for a condensed version, I don't know what do you mean? The pitch data itself. That's it.
If I was talking about latitude to a ball, I'd be saying latitude measurements is it's elevation angles to and from Polaris from 90 degrees to 0 degrees, measured at sea level, flat earth proof, 5,400 miles, and so how can you condense that down without, if you was just having a bit of a debate?
Well, yeah, that's why I brought up
even though it's not a debate, we just say,
yeah. Well, that's the thing about the pitch data. It's kind of funny like that. It's just it is what it is.
We've got
all they can try now. It is what it is. Yeah. Well, the lift effect means that's the reason the pitch data is like that, because lift. But the pitch data, it's kind of like the data itself is the condensed version. It just is what it is. If you understand what I mean, let's say you're a baller and I present you with that data. I show you the pitch and it matches the altitude, everything, pressure, everything, right? There you go. The page with the data on it. There's 0. There, see the way it doesn't break the 0. It's constantly pitching above it. So, what's your response then, as a baller?
A horizontal curve.
Yeah, that's all you can. You know what I mean? That's it. You know what I mean? They have to claim that the horizontal is not horizontal. At that stage, what can you say? It's like, did you see my presentation on flat sides? one day.
Yeah, see, I think I missed the last part of it. I think I missed the comments bit, but yeah, I seen the diagram you're talking about and the data. Yeah, I was just sort of watching it. Yeah, it's a good one.
Watch the end, because I go into their responses at the end. That'll be, do you know what I mean? Because it's their responses to the original pitch data presentation that I use as an add-on. Otherwise, the presentation would be only half the length. Because their responses are to claim that a gyroscope is changing its pitch in relation. It's changing its pitch to a new horizontal in relation to an old horizontal. You know what I mean? It's like, how can horizontal be a slope away from horizontal? Sorry, 1 second. Sorry, I had to sneeze. How can horizontal be a slope away from horizontal? But that's what they're claiming. And it's so crazy, I show what it would mean to an attitude indicator and a pilot flying a plane. It would mean that the plane would be gaining in altitude because as the gyro is changing its pitch, changing to a horizontal, away from horizontal, as crazy as that sounds, what would happen is, because the plane is not being corrected to follow this nonsense, what would happen is there'd be a constant change, a constant above horizontal pitch accumulation, which would cause a rising in altitude and eventually a stall. So what they're claiming, sorry, I have to sneeze again. So what they're claiming is such a load of rubbish, and it's so unworkable in reality, because the autopilot won't follow the gyro if the gyro starts changing. Just because the mechanical gyro changes its orientation doesn't mean that the plane is going to do that. Change what it's doing, right? It uses it as a reference, but that's it. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't, like, it's not psychically controlled by the gyro. It's the pilot uses it as a reference. They set the pitch, and then they set the autopilot, and that's it. And there was 2 hours on the pitch data. The 2 hours that from 8:05 to 10:05 that you see no change, that is when it's in autopilot. Right? It just holds the same reference and the same pitch above that reference. But if the reference they originally referenced to get the pitch in originally starts changing, the original pitch is not going to change. So if the zero goes down by 2 degrees away from what it was, then that's only going to be 2 degrees of extra pitch above that point then. Do you know what I mean? Because unless a pilot starts going in and trying to follow the zero, which doesn't happen. No autopilot or pilot, real world human pilot, follows a zero that goes around the globe. Nobody does that because it doesn't happen. You couldn't do it. It wouldn't work. As soon as the pilot goes to the toilet or gets a cup of coffee, right, or someone's and the other pilot, the co-pilot, is talking to the steward, to the hostess or the stewardess, right? Well, for 2 minutes, suddenly the plane is starting to rise up in altitude because the speed of the plane is staying equal. So what will happen is there's a gradual increase in pitch. That means the angle of attack is increasing while the speed is staying equal. So what's going to happen? The plane's going to go up in altitude and smash into another plane. You know what I mean? It's clear. Eventually, it's going to reach a stall, and it won't be able to fly at all, fall out of the sky. There's just no way around it. It can't be argued with. And when Adam said flawless victory, that's what that is. It's over. So when you're saying how do we use this with a border, it's not an argument, one day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like, well, what level is shouldn't be an argument, but that's what I'm getting to. The highlighting their responses is the killer, because it doesn't matter what evidence, say levels curved and horizontals curved, and you've given this pitch data, and now they're saying the horizontal, we're flying horizontally around the ball. I mean, it's ridiculous. They're not going to accept anything anyway and admit the evidence. So I think the way to go is, and what they're doing is, and with the locally flats and all that, is just to keep high, let them speak for themselves, and just they can show themselves how dumb they are to everybody, and that will speak louder than anything, I think. So that was a good one, that, yeah.
Yeah, well, what's the point in arguing? There's nothing to argue about. It is what it is. What they're trying to claim is happening is just not happening in the story. That's the thing about it, right? when I said earlier that overall Bevs and that they were talking about horizontal and bendizontal a couple of years ago, the problem they had and what's different from what they had then and what they were dealing with then and what we're dealing with now is they didn't have any actual way to show, even though everyone knows it's true, they didn't have any way to actually show that level is horizontal. Horizontal is level. Outside of some surveying stuff. And even at that, the ballers tried to equivocate and come up with two different levels. Like the level that would be made with a theodolite or an auto level is a different level from equidistance from the center of the globe. Whereas with the pitch data, that proves that level is horizontal. And there is no second level that they want to make up. There's only one level, and that level is horizontal. That proves it outright. And that's the thing about it. I think your best bet is to present it and then just laugh at what's been given to you. Because I have to think one with the waffle, go straight back to that zero line. Show us the curve in this pitch data, please. It's in reference to horizontal, so all they can claim is that horizontal is a circle. That's literally what they have to claim. You know, horizontal is a point, 1 point is a horizontal. The next point on from that, half inch away, is another horizontal. The next point is another horizontal. So there's like horizontal are these little tiny increments of change around the board. You know what I mean? That's how ridiculous it is. You know, I mean, you could go in and do what I did and show how ridiculous it is and how what they're claiming is so outside of reality and out of whack with actual pilots and aircraft and, you know, aerodynamics. But you don't need to. I only did that just so. The reason I did that is with that presentation on flat sides was to just, and why I made the video at all after our first presentation was just to highlight how ridiculous their responses, because they're not a rebuttal, there's only a response, how ridiculous their responses are. And also to limit the amount of people in the comments section of that video, of my video, or of a flat size presentation, limit the amount of comments making that claim. So I'm addressing their nonsense before they come up with their nonsense, which makes it even worse for them. But in your situation, if you're talking to someone on Discord, just there's the data. You know, gives you a flat Earth measurement. There you go. That's not flat Earth. Show us the curve. That zero is horizontal. Lake Pontchartrain. Do you know what I mean? They're going to have to do what your man Stingray did, which is veer off and red herring away from it, because that's what they need to do. So I can't really say what to do with it. It's just like, there it is. You don't need to argue. It's clear you don't even need to argue it. It's just, it is what it is. It's over. That's about the size of it.
Nice one, Brian. Cheers.
You got me on a rant there, kind of. But it's like, I can't. The fact that the pitch data, and I don't know where it's actually been, shared, because I did see a lot of people saying they were sharing this, and they were sharing this as far as wide as they could, probably on social media here, there, and everywhere. But the fact that it hasn't reached mainstream, let's say nightly news, the 9 o'clock news, means that there's a lot of people out there who aren't really flat earthers. That's what it means. Because if you were really a flat earther and you were presented with pitch data, the first thing you do was share it with everyone. You'd be sharing it with all your family members that had arguments with you. You'd be sharing it with everybody on social media everywhere. This should already be a monstrous problem, right, for the mainstream. But it's not. Where is it? Have you seen it on the nightly news? Have you seen it on Tucker Carlson? I haven't seen it. So that means there's a huge amount of people out there who aren't really flat earthers. There are a load of flat earther believers who want to have silly arguments with the opposition.
Some want to have polite conversation. That's the most important part. Let's have a conversation about about your beliefs.
Conversation, yeah. You know, we show each other respect around here. No, this kind of rubbish. Why? Why do you show this person, Mac Toon? Why do you show that person any respect? This is all about. We're all about respect here. Why? Respect has to be earned. You don't just get there's a certain amount of respect you'll get out in the public. It's like most people won't close the door straight in your face or whatever. Not saying nobody will. Most people won't do that. There's a little bit of common manners. You know what I mean? That goes on in public. But other than that, that's the most respect you're going to get. You know what I mean? Other than that, you have to earn respect. I mean, why should I expect respect on a basketball court if I'm no good at basketball? You know what I mean? Why? Why do I deserve respect? I don't. I have no business being there. Get off the court. Get out. Someone get kicked. Someone to kick me. Get out. None of your business. Do you know what I mean? Let's all show respect to each other. No, you earn my respect, right? Or you don't get it. It's that simple. And I don't care about whether you respect me. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, but saying you don't care is kind of like caring, isn't it?
I suppose it is a little bit. But do you care about whether Mac Toon respects you or not? Sorry.
I don't think about it, which is truly not caring.
Yeah, but I'm only saying hypothetically in a situation like that. Like I don't think about whether Mac Toon respects me either. Like I know I don't respect him. That I do know. And if he doesn't respect you, Nathan, how would that affect you?
I don't think about that either. I don't care. Do I care?
Well, I wouldn't care either.
Yeah, I'm living rent-free in their heads, not the other way around, Brian.
Yeah, me too. You're trying to turn this into something it's not.
No, I'm not.
Yeah. You're trying to. I was just, stating facts, and you were trying to turn it into. You do this a lot. You're trying to turn it into. Brian is looking for respect from Mac Toon or something like that.
No, I wasn't. Honest.
Yeah, you were. Honestly, you were.
What I was trying to do is say my version of not caring is better than your version of not caring.
Yeah, but you can't say you don't care without saying you don't care.
Well, you just have to keep your mouth shut.
Right. So if I say to someone that you have to earn my respect, and they say to me, "Well, you have to earn my respect," I say to them, "No, I don't care whether you respect me or not."
Yeah, that's legit.
Yeah, but that's what I was talking about.
Fair enough.
Have you anything else you want to try and wrangle as some kind of an attack?
I wasn't trying to wrangle anything.
Oh yeah, well, you sit there and you wait for the opportunity, and then bang from the side.
What a load of nonsense.
It's not. That's what you do. You have this little. You'd be waiting for in the bush.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the
Brian,
bush.
give Nathan a bit of respect, will you?
Show Nathan a bit.
We're all friends here.
Well, you know that the ballers have basically no respect for any of us anyway. They lie so much to our faces. You know what I mean? That means they don't respect you. If someone's willing to just straight out lie to you, it means they don't. They can't have any degree really of respect for you, can they? If they're just going to lie to you, it means I think that you're going to believe this. Do you know what I mean? I think you're stupid enough to believe this. That's what the lawyer was saying to you, isn't it?
Yeah, basically.
Tell us more, Kiwi. Go on, sorry.
Well, I have the same example, don't I, when I say don't go, sneaking around NASA. Because what do you think you're going to get out of them?
Lies.
More lies. So yeah, you just turn your back on them.
But why? Why would they lie?
Because they know that you people will believe them. That's the noise for them.
Honestly, I like that response where you told that guy the other day. It's like, I'll tell you why they lied to you, because you believe them. Got him.
Yeah, that's the reason, isn't it? If you want a motive, that's the actual motive. They know that you are very likely going to believe they're rubbish, so they're going to lie to you.
Yep. You'll accept their entire little fantasy story with no evidence.
And that's the thing people don't want to hear. Like, why would they lie? Because you will believe them, and they know you will. I mean, it's such a stupid question. It's such a stupid question because you're asking for an answer that you already know, but you don't want to accept it. They know that you will believe their nonsense, so they will lie to you. It's that simple.
So it's also dumb to me because it's like, because they're liars. That's what liars do. They lie. Let me go ask this woodpecker over here why he's pecking wood. It's like, what? Are you guys all right, man? They lie. That's it. And just because I can't tell you why they're lying doesn't mean that the lie is not a lie anymore. That's not how life works. Sorry, get a grip.
Yeah, it's like it really reminds me of that movie Loaded Weapon years ago. It was a National Lampoon's movie with Samuel L. Jackson and Emilio Estevez. We're supposed to be like the two characters from Loaded
I remember that.
And the bad guy in it was William Shatner. And at one point he had this chick tied up. And this chick used to be with him, or he took her hostage or something like that. I used to be with something like that. And she was like, you use people for money, you use people for drugs, you use people to do bad things for you, you use women for sex. What kind of man are you? A user, he says. A user. Yeah, a user. Yeah, it's like, it is exactly as it appears to be. That's one of my favorite parts of comedy ever.
Why would they lie? That's like the last fucking straw of a minute. You know, they've been presented with the evidence. They're sort of understanding the evidence of how Earth's measured, but they don't want to accept it. So the easy way out for them is, well, why would they lie? I can see what you're saying, but that can't be true because they wouldn't lie about it. So it's just it's a little way of them to not accept the truth, that they're incapable of accepting the truth.
They could accept it, but only with a small disclaimer, right? They're willing to tell us it's measured flat, it's locally flat. As long as you believe on the grander scale, it's a big ball, right? That's the only exception that they're willing to make, which is hilarious, to be honest.
Would you believe I've had that pilot, the Globe pilot, Trevor Austin, the retired pilot guy? I've had him say to me, and I was only waiting for this, right? Rather than making the argument the opposite way around, one of the borders, I was only waiting for it. What would the pitch data look like if it was referencing a flat Earth? He said to me, right? Trying to hijack the pitch data. I said it would look exactly like the official NTSB pitch data that I presented. Or sorry, I should say we presented, because it's Amy. We presented in the presentation that pitch data. What would it look like for a globe, right? He was trying to hijack the pitch data, as in trying to state that that's somehow globe data and asking me to come up with some fraudulent flat Earth pitch data. That is flat Earth pitch data. You know what I mean? That is it.
That's not too far from back in the day when they used to say, everything you see it's because you see the things the way you see them because it's a globe. And you ask him, well, then how would it look if it was flat? And he's like, pretty much the same. Like, what?
That's
Okay.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
I remember that though.
Yeah, because I was going to ask. I was waiting. I said, will I wait or will I ask? I was going to ask, what would the pitch data look like if it was referencing a globe as opposed to referencing a flat plane? And I wanted to see what they would come back with. But then I said, one of them is bound to try and somehow wrangle this in by trying to say what would it look like for a flat Earth. I said, they probably will, but they probably won't. And then, of course, the commercial pilot did it. What would that pitch data look like if it was referencing a flat Earth? Well, you try to somehow wrangle in how it's actually referencing a globe, a big, massive horizontal. It's like nobody. I wasn't born yesterday, buddy. You know what I mean? Because what they say to you, Chocolate, and you know because you just stated it, that when push comes to shove, they'll state, because I've already had this more or less stated to me, that the pitch data for a globe or a flat plane would be identical. Just identical. You wouldn't know the difference.
That's a concession, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Wouldn't know the difference, so wouldn't see any ball shapes on it then.
Well, you wouldn't expect to see curvature.
That was always the purpose of me asking that question.
Exactly, yeah. You wouldn't expect to see curvature in the pitch data, Nathan. That's what you'll get told. Shut up, QE.
Has anyone asked them how is pitch data even possible on a globe? Has anyone asked them that?
Did you not ask them that already?
I've asked a few people that.
It's not possible on a globe. You can't have pitch data. It's like a sextant. It just can't exist on a globe.
Exactly. Sextants can't exist in a globe card's paradigm.
And equally, it's the same on both, of course.
Go on, Nathan.
No, so and at the same time, it's equally you wouldn't notice any difference. Same on both, sort of thing.
Yeah. The pitch data would be the exact same on a flat Earth globe. It's just be the same. That's what they'll try and tell you. The same can be said for a theodolite or an autodata. Up to a point. You know what I mean? You'd have to. The same can be. Well, not up to a point. Absolutely. But the pitch data is the one. Like it can't exist on the globe because level can't be horizontal on the globe, and that's proven that level is horizontal. Not that it needed to be proven. Well, it did need to be proven, but only to certain people. You know, it's like once that's shown, that's it. Like there's no, there's no. That can't happen on a globe, kind of thing.
Anything could happen on a globe, Ryan. Don't you know that this is fear?
Say it with a little more.
He'll tell you.
That'll be more convincing.
Sorry, Chocolate.
I told Neil to say that with a little more bass. It'll be more convincing.
Yeah, Neil, you didn't really sound like you really meant it.
It's in the definition too. Pitch, the steepness of a slope.
You're very quiet, Bushel.
especially
Hold on. You get close to your mic.
Sounded good,
Is that
boss.
better?
Yeah, that's better.
Pitch, the steepness of a slope, especially of a roof. And slope is inclined from a horizontal or vertical line. So yeah, just the definition of pitch shows that it can't happen on a globe.
Exactly. Unless horizontal is a circle. Circumstantial.
Circumstantial.
But that's what they're claiming. One second. I'm going to go in and have a look at one of their comments. Because there's so many crazy comments there. I just read out one or two. Like, it is really, as QB, when we were speaking, it is really as crazy as that, where their crazy responses are going to be the real killer for them. One second.
Okay.
I'm just going to go in and open up not the last video I made, but the one before that, and see some of the responses. I'll read them out. One second.
Yeah, we're all waiting.
I'm trying to... from Josh Lays. Just read out his, because he's an absolute bonehead. Brian, there is an error in your text in the description. In a video detailing the stupidity of our opposition concerning flight, that's what I wrote in the description. Our opposition should be replaced by us flareforce. That's his response. That's all he got. That's it. People trying to correct me on spelling. Right, I put in an apostrophe when I shouldn't. This kind of stuff. What's this one? Amoeba 9129. On a spherical planet, if one places a perfectly balanced seesaw on the back of a truck and drives to the equator, will the seesaw need to be pushed down to remain level?
What? If you're serving an ice cream and you use the Mr. Whipping machine and you put a flake in it perpendicular on the back of a trailer travelling on a train, will Earth be flat?
The same guy, right? Gyro vertical from some thing foiled April 16, 1941. Some rubbish, right? Gravitational control of such instruments is usually indirectly affected through pendulous members which control a suitable source of power to apply torque to the gyroscope at right angles to the tilt so that the gyroscope is directly erected to a vertical position.
Didn't the vegan homosexual talk about pendulous members?
Here's another one. Brian, has it ever dawned on you that while you invent your own reality and pretend you are the expert in it, right, that in the real world, people that are actually educated in the subject you deal with, people who successfully work professionally in those subjects every day, people who understand those subjects sufficiently to use that understanding to make money for the companies they work for, all tell you how wrong you are and that your fantasy world is totally detached from reality, ? Now, one of the professionals in any discipline you make videos about has ever agreed with you. What does that suggest to you, Brian? ? That's all you're getting of him. Right? More rubbish after. Oh, where's Wally? At 250, Brian, you actually said a correct thing. Pity you ruined it by saying it was total rubbish. Of course, the plane's pitch is always above horizontal. even as the plane follows the curvature, because horizontal is local and changing too, but it's local and changing too. But go on, keep getting it very wrong. Where's Wally? So the plane will be not accounting for curvature then, Wally. What is John Doe 4354? You know what they say, Brian? Question mark. When everyone around you thinks you're an idiot, it's best not to open your mouth and remove all doubt. You have removed all doubt. It's just nothing and nothing. A heap of nothing responses. People trying to respond to things that's already been dealt with.
What do you want them to say, Brian?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, here's another one. A triangle has a height. This absolute bonehead. Okay, it is hilarious that flat earthers can't understand the concept of relative. Relative.
What did you say? You said a triangle has a height?
No, that's his name. A triangle has the height. That's his YouTube name. Yeah.
I was gonna say, okay, no shit, Sherlock.
Yeah, I have nonsense like, where's your flat earth model? You know what I mean? You're coughing again, Brian. That must mean you're telling more lies. This is the kind of nonsense. People saying they've never heard the term rigid in space. It's something we made up. Or, you know what I mean? All this absolute rubbish. Yeah, I have never heard the phrase rigid in space except from FEers talking about gyros. The bicycles could never turn. You know what I mean?
Wow,
you can demonstrate.
Really back to flat earthers are just making stuff up, like perspective, right? Something that flat earthers made up.
We're of like mind. I was just about to go exactly the same place.
How we've come full circle.
We make up perspective, begging the question. Never heard of it.
Yeah, begging the question. Never heard of it. Listen to this, right? This is one of it, right? This Harushchin, right? At Harushchin, right? Brian, since you are convinced planes on a globe have to constantly pitch down, you should finish this argument once and for all by demonstrating how aircraft flying west have to constantly turn to the right and those flying east constantly turn to the left. Since you have the data, it should be easy to do. Flat Earth proven at last. How about it? 4 laughy faces. It's like, why would planes need to turn left and right constantly to go east and west when they fly in straight lines? If you have a round, let's just say, cut out a round or square piece of cardboard, and you can draw compass directions on that. Now, is there any point, if that's a flat piece of cardboard, which is going to be, that you can't just take a marker and just draw big straight lines across it, no matter, regardless of what? You know what I mean? It's like, is that what you got? Do you think the planes would have to keep turning right or keep turning left to go east and west? I mean, they're not going around a corner.
I think she's talking about the side of the globe. Like if you got a beach ball and you put the plane to the right side of it, and you go around it.
There. No, he's talking about a flat plane there, Neil. That's what he's referring. I'll read it out again. Where is he gone? Brian, since you are convinced planes on a globe have to constantly pitch down, you should finish this argument once and for all by demonstrating how aircraft flying west have to constantly turn to the right and those flying east constantly turn to the left. Since you have the data, it should be easy to do. Flat Earth proven at last. How about it? Like, it sounds at the start he's talking about a globe, but then he goes on and is actually talking about a flat plane. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that don't make sense.
Here's another one from the same guy. Brian, the aviation expert. It's great. The aviation expert. I don't think
you that's supposed to believe. I'm sorry, Brian. It's only you that's supposed to believe that planes have to pitch down. It's only you. They're not literally trying to convince us that that happens. It's just we don't have to do anything. It happens by itself.
Yeah, it's happening, but you don't notice it happening. That's what they're trying to say, though. But yeah, he's trying to make it. Yeah, exactly, Chocolate. I didn't actually jump on that part. Exactly, because it's like, it's not. I'm not making a claim the planes would have to pitch down going over a spherical surface. That's just the geometry of the situation, Bozo. Do you know what I mean? Here's another one from him. Brian, the aviation expert, I don't think, full stop. The artificial horizon you show is known as an attitude indicator. Yeah, I literally state that in the video, right, or the presentation. But yours is indicating an attitude of willful ignorance. What a load of baloney.
Ryan, has anyone commented on the pitch data asking if it was center of gravity of the plane? Because that's what NASA's website claims pitch data is.
Yeah, I've had all that. I had that nonsense where they tried to claim. See, they've tried to claim that the center of gravity, which is just a point, a pivot point on the plane, you know, but they're talking about the pendulous vanes and flying around a spherical surface, and how horizontal is a circle. That's horizontal is a circle. That's the two main responses I got is that horizontal is a circle, and horizontal changes its own orientation in relation to itself.
Oh, okay.
Center of what?
Yeah, center of what?
The thing that the very thing that they claim they don't know what it is. The center of that. Okay.
Yeah,
Clear that up.
basically horizontal is constantly changing with the Earth. I guess like the center of gravity of the plane is a horizontal is a point in this example, right? Which that's not true at all.
Who's speaking?
Yeah.
Huh? A bushel.
Yeah, level is only 1 point. It's either one-dimensional or three-dimensional, depending on who you're asking. But it's one or the other. It's never two-dimensional for them, because two dimensions means a straight line.
Neil, do you find his voice enchanting?
No, I thought it was chocolate at first, but I wasn't seeing chocolate light up.
Hey, Neil.
What's up?
Bushel. What's up,
Yeah,
Bushel?
his voice is enchanting.
What's up? Planes with center of gravity. That's what's up.
Me, I'm indifferent to your Bushels. No offense.
Hold on. Says the guy that says, Nathan, can you say something like that?
Just so you know, on that video, which is called Ball or Flight Bozos, which is a response video to their responses to the presentation. So I thought I put up the wrong video, meant it to be presentation video. There's 1.2 thousand views in 2 weeks, right? But there's just barely over 1,000 comments. That means there's a lot of comments. Now, there is a lot of comments in there, a lot. But that means that there's definitely a lot of comments that are not getting seen, that are just like, you die or F you or something like that YouTube are not just not allowing through. I wonder if I got to see all that, how bad it would be. You know, we're going to get you, something like that. But yeah, there's over 1,000 comments and just over 1.2 thousand views. That means there's about 200 plus views more than there is comments.
Amazing. What is what did you tell
It is. Ball or Flight Bozos.
Ball or Flight Bozos.
Yeah.
I like it. Reminds me of me.
I find it enchanting.
Well, isn't that
My
lovely?
most recent. Go on, Nate.
I was adding colour commentary to Neil's colour commentary. You go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that my most recent video is called Tangent Levels, LOL.
Yeah, I plugged it on the live show.
I know, yeah, I was just saying to QE.
Really good.
So what's this video you sent me? Brian?
What video did I send you? It was
Shyster.
Oh yeah, David Weiss. He joined Flatside. I didn't see it live now. Someone told me about it. It could have been Michael Kahn told me about it. Someone told me about it. Him or Tinfoil told me about it. He joined on Thursday night, I think. I think he joined Flatside Friday night, maybe Friday night. But he was.
Did he
but it was
state
only
that
just for one.
but it still could be a bigger ball?
No, he was saying it was flat. He was saying it was flat.
Really?
Yeah. And he was trying to mitigate for what he didn't say. It was flat during the thing on Jesse Lee Peterson.
What was his mitigation? Can you remember?
Can't mitigate for that.
Hold on.
Well,
what was his mitigation?
He was saying that he got inside information before he started that if he said it was flat, that Jesse Lee Peterson was going to say, but there's hills.
You say what?
That there's hills. That
oh
not
God!
flat. That's what. That's what
you're getting rumpused. I didn't hear it second time either. He said what?
But it has hills.
No, didn't hear it a third time because two people said it at the same time.
It said it's flat, but it has hills. It's flat, but it has hills.
Hills.
Well, David Weiss said, Nathan. David Weiss said that he got inside information that if he said if it was flat, that Jesse Lee Peterson was going to say, but there's hills, so it's not flat.
And you can't overcome that? It makes him look all more freaking retarded.
That's just as bad, isn't it?
It's weak.
Okay, so his mitigation suggested that even if he had overcame it by saying, yeah, I know for sure and without a doubt that Earth is flat, and then Jesse Peterson turns around and says, what about hills? David Weiss is suggesting that would leave him stymied then, correct?
Yeah, according to him, that if there's hills, that he wouldn't know where to. Well, he implied that he wouldn't know where to go with that.
Let's have a try.
Freaking idiot.
Let's just have a try with Brian. Brian, do you know for sure and without a doubt that the Earth is flat?
Yes, absolutely.
What about hills?
I have measurements.
What about hills?
What about them?
Well, they would suggest that it's not flat because they're hilly.
Flat is a description of a surface.
Yeah, and the surface has got hills on it, which aren't flat.
Yeah, but it has a horizontal baseline. That whole surface has a horizontal
How do you
baseline.
measure the height of those hills again?
That's where I would have gone, chocolate.
Yep.
Did you hear that, Brian?
It seems like Brian's not keeping up to
Yeah,
date
Brian. It
with
seems like Brian's not up to date. What, did we assess him
I am
recently?
up to date. Did you not hear what I said?
Yeah, but
No,
you
what
should
did I
have
say?
said, what about the mountains? They're measured off a flat Earth.
Hang on.
How you get
Did
the
you not hear-
elevation for the mountains?
He said it, but he
Did you not
in
hear what I said?
I did hear you. You just didn't say it explicitly.
What did I say?
You said that there was reference. There was a horizontal plane of reference.
It was
I said
a
there's a
flat
horizontal
description.
baseline.
You said flat's a description. That wasn't a
Of the
response.
surface.
That's non-responsive.
Of a response. Sorry. It is a description of a surface.
And the surface has got
That's
hills
not
on
a
it, so it's
response
not
to the
flat then.
question.
Let's just try it. Let's continue with Brian. So it's got hills on it, therefore not flat.
No, it has a horizontal baseline.
What does that mean?
That's a different answer.
I didn't get a chance to go into the second part. You see, you jumped in and people jumped. Well, Chocolate didn't jump in. Chocolate just said it. You think that I didn't know where to go. Are you for real? Right?
Yes.
Why did I say there's a horizontal baseline? Why did I say there's a horizontal baseline?
But you didn't say that the heights of the
I didn't
hills
get
are...
a chance to say the second
You're
part.
not letting me respond.
didn't get a
You're
chance
not
to
letting
say
me
the second
respond.
part.
You're getting triggered. We'll
Because
assess
I got pissed off. Yeah,
Okay, just let me respond.
I'm insulted here.
You didn't
Because
say...
you
Okay,
didn't
just
hear
let
the
me
second part
respond.
of what I was going to say. I'd be quiet when Chocolate had something to say. That's it.
Oh, so
You
we didn't
insulted
wait for the
Brian.
fourth. We didn't wait for the fourth response.
Okay, so you
No,
didn't say...
it's a horizontal baseline, right? And my second part of that was that, and there's with topography above and below that horizontal baseline.
Is measured from...
I don't even need to go into measurements yet.
Why not?
Because I don't need to. I just stated a fact.
So what are you using the baseline
Ask
for?
again, Nathan.
What are you
If
using the
someone
base...
wants to see a measurement, I can show it to them.
What's the baseline for? Why are you telling me about the baseline?
because that's where everything will be
Measured
to.
from?
The reference is going to be that, yeah.
Yeah, measuring from it. The hills and mountains will be with respect to that baseline, which is flat. So if you're going to describe the height of the hills, mountains, valleys, whatever, topography, you'll describe it with...
I don't have to do all
we're getting
that.
rumpused. Do you not like me giving the right answer? Should we start calling him...
I don't need... It's not the right... It was the right answer a few weeks ago.
on.
It's not the right answer now.
Let's just ask you a new question. Do you believe that there is a possibility it could be a really big ball, Brian? Shame the devil,
no,
tell
I
us.
pitched data. That's the end of that. This is the problem. You're not paying attention. You're not up to date. You're not up to date with the flat Earth debate. Because you're talking about measurements of... You're
Look,
not...
let him play
his...
He's playing his Uno Reverso card. Let him.
I am pitch data. I don't need... See, that's why I didn't need to go rushing off. It's like, do you want to see a measurement? I don't need to tell him about... Okay, here, there's some pitch data.
Yeah, that's a measurement. That's fine. We'll
and what's that in relation to?
We'll discuss this later when you're not around.
In relation to? Yeah.
We'll discuss this later. We'll have an intervention.
Very good. Now, of course, you know, Brian, you just didn't phrase it the exact way I wanted it to be phrased.
I don't need to. I'm under zero pressure if someone asks me that question. You're under pressure to start inserting crowbarring in a measurement. I don't have to do it. I can just go around in circles with them until they ask me for it.
That's deflection. You're deflecting away from your answer.
I'm not.
That was very high pitched. I'm not either. No, we're only messing with you. We know that you're not like David Weiss. But David Weiss's mitigation was to say he couldn't cope with the hills and valleys rebuttal. Okay, that's a bit crap, isn't it? With clarity, I doubt very much that Peterson, if he was to put that to you, Brian, would pick flaw in what your response was, even the first non sequitur that you offered.
Well, where I would be, the reason I brought up that flat's a description of a surface is that I'd be drawing his attention to the table in front of him, saying that's a flat. Would you call that a flat surface? Yeah.
He doesn't have a kitchen.
Yeah. Does it have? I said the table in front of him in his show on YouTube.
That sounds like a terrible deflection.
It's not a deflection. Would you consider that a flat surface? Yeah. Does it have undulations on it? On the microscopic level? Yeah. But I thought about mountains. Yeah, but mountains are microscopic in scale to the whole world. And they'll throw maths at him if he wants it.
Okay, fair enough.
Throw some 1 + 2 = 3 at.
Yeah, but you know who else does something similar, just by standardization and comparison to our opponent? Neil deGrasse Tyson does that at the end of a quote that everyone takes out of context, where he says Earth is a bigger, sort of pear-shaped ball, bigger at the bottom, chubbier. He then goes on to say that if it was a bowling ball in front of you, to your discernment, it would be perfectly spherical. He also explains that at the scale of a bowling ball, the imperfections of a bowling ball would be, by scale, much bigger than the hills and valleys that we have on the surface of actually a plane, but what he describes as a bowling ball, right? So what he's saying is, as you run your hands over the bowling ball, to you, it seems perfectly smooth, despite having plenty of imperfections and flaws in it. And by comparison, those flaws and imperfections would be much bigger than the hills and valleys on Earth at that scale. So therefore, if you were to run your hand over Earth, it would feel perfectly smooth at that scale and perfectly spherical. So he explains that after the "it's chubbier at the bottom" bullshit that people who are flat earthers often quote.
Yeah, but the problem with that chubbier at the bottom thing is wrong for a start. It's not. Within their paradigm, it's their equator, right? The equator circumference is larger than their polar circumference. But that's only within the pre-assumption that their globe Earth is rotating daily. And that causes centrifugal force, which causes it to start stretching outwards. That's where that comes from. It's not even part of their geometry. Their geometry has to be a perfect circle or a perfect sphere. Well, it's perfect, starts with a perfect circle because that they have to adhere to the measurements, the flat plane measurements that gave them that radius. Excuse me. they can't. There is no oblate spheroid. That's purely based off of a presumption of centrifugal force due to a presumption of rotation. There's nothing to do with their geometry. And both flat earthers and especially globe earthers, they don't even know that. They're thick.
Yeah. A whole bunch of stuff to cover tomorrow, which is good. Have you had plenty more comments since you shouted out your video?
On the video itself?
Well, I just hope to redress the balance, because typically your videos are absolutely spammed by anti-flat earth comments. So today I was like, while I did leave a load of replies to try and even up the scale a little bit, it'd be nice if there was a whole bunch of people actually just leaving good comments saying, good video. Things like that.
Not really. Most of it just from trolls. But there is some good comments there. Yeah. I have 177 comments from 213 views.
It's only been out about 10, 12 hours, right?
How long was it out? 9 hours ago, yeah. Now, not
That's
loads
nuts.
of views, but loads of comments.
That's nuts. It's just nuts.
Well, I was looking at Candace Owens' video on Friday night because I was looking at her stats on her video. And I could look back on some of her videos, let's say from 2 weeks ago or whatever. And she could have several million views. And let's just say she could have 4 million views or 5 million views on a video from 2 weeks ago, right? And she might have, she could have 400,000 comments or something like that. She wouldn't have 400,000 comments maybe, but she'd have a lot of comments. She could have, 40,000 comments, right, or something mad like that, because she would have 3,000 to 4,000 comments and nearly 500,000 views on a video when it's just after coming out, kind of thing, right, within an hour or two of it coming out. So, but if people would think, wow, 40,000 comments, but that 40,000 into that 4 million views is nothing, if you think about it. Whereas our videos, I know you get a lot of comments too, Nathan. I don't think you get the same amount of comments per views as I get. But, I mean, something has to be rotten in Denmark for any flat earther to be getting any kind of comments in ratio to their views like that. As I said earlier, I had 1.2 thousand views on that response video I did to their stupidity about the presentation. And I had over 1,000 comments.
Yeah, this is why we need suppression. Yeah? So what you're putting out is so contentious that algorithmically, the kind of activity that a flat earth video generates is definitely going to trigger the algorithm to present the video to more people. And that effect had to be stemmed somehow. That's why we're currently censored. Your video proves it. Even when you're at the bottom of the lists and the views are not rolling in, you're suddenly finding that the comments are equaling the views. You're like, so this generates so much interest that it's almost 1 for 1, where it's normally 1 for 100. 1 in 100 people leave a comment. Yeah? Well, why is it 100 times more engaging? Because people want to engage with it. Well, shove it to the bottom of the lists then, because that, if we leave it unchecked, will definitely gain algorithmic favoritism. Look how much interest it's developed. Look how much time people have spent engaging with this video. That's all YouTube want, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, well, we don't want it for that subject. So let it have loads of engagement, but just don't let the algorithm then present that to anybody else as a result of that absolutely amazing engagement that you're getting.
Well, exactly. I mean, if I just go back, let's just say 12 days ago on one of Candace Owens' videos. I'm not using her because she gets so many views and she gets so many comments, right? She has 1.4 million views from 12 days ago, and she has 15,400 comments, right? 50,406 comments. Now, if I had 1.4, let's just say I'm just going to wait till go back to whatever one came out. Whatever one, my second last one, I'll use that Ball of Light Bozos. I'll use that one, right? And I know that one's got a lot of views and comments, right? So on this one, I have 1.2 thousand views 2 weeks ago. So if you take her 1.4 million and my 1.2 thousand, and I have 1,000 comments on that, that would mean that would be like me. That would be like her having a video that has over 1 million comments.
Yeah, it'd be like almost 1-to-1 ratio. If she's got like 1.1 million views, she's got 1 million comments on it. It's just nuts.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, and even in some of the videos where I have a few videos where I got a lot of. Let me see. What's the ratio here? Like there's one video there. I have 884 views and only about 390 comments. But still, that's still close. It's not half, but it's about a third and a bit or more. Right. So even at that, if it was 1.4 million views, you're still talking about 300,000 comments. You know what I mean? And that's where the ratio. I have a big difference between the comments and that's a video where a big difference between views and comments. So it's like a lot. Some of them they are nearly 1-to-1. Some of them not so much. Some of them I don't have a lot of comments on them. Some of them I have a lot of comments. But the point is that if her 1.4 million and me with 15,000 comments, I mean, if I got 15,000 comments on a video that gets 500 views, if I had that ratio with 500 views, that'd be like only 5 or 6 comments or something like that, wouldn't it? It'd be tiny in comparison to 15,000 comments into 1.4 million. Let me just get the calculator out and see how many times it divides in. So
you could just ask Adam. Just ask Adam to do it.
Yeah, I could do, but Adam.
But Adam.
Probably busy. No, over busy, 90 times. Over 90 times. So her comments on that video will divide into her views over 90 times. There is no way of any video that would happen for me. Anywhere near it. If the calculator is wrong, Adam will tell us.
I'm sure if he had some maths being doing wrong, he'd be there like a heartbeat. He's like the maths police.
But that is it, though, Nathan. That's why we are so heavily censored, because they know the amount of traction and debate that this topic would bring up. I mean, I suppose in some ways it could have. I mean, I suppose in some ways it could cause a riot on the street. You know what I mean?
Funny you should say that, Brian. I had the phone in my pocket, and I was actually working on the elevator, and some lady asked me, what am I listening to? I said, I'm actually on a panel on a debate show. He's like, so what do you debate? I said, the nature of our reality. We live on a ball, spinning, flying through outer space, or are we on a flat level plane? She's like, oh my goodness, my son is into that. I said, well, how old is your son? She said, he's 15. So the younger people are catching on and actually debating about this and intaking the information that we're distributing, I hope. See that at a feast of nonsense.
Probably the feast of nonsense.
It is the feast of nonsense, mostly, because...
Well, some of the things she was hearing, she was like, oh my goodness, my son says that. And Nathan, you don't speak about anything else but Earth is measured flat.
Oh, jolly good.
Well, what I would say is that the Feast of Nonsense is really strong over on TikTok, where most of the young people are. Now they're on YouTube too. Everyone's on YouTube, but like the ages on TikTok, you're probably going to have a lot of young people more than you'll have older people. Not that there isn't older people, but you'll have a lot of young people. And X too, up to a point. But I think the thing about it is that when we all got that Feast of Nonsense, I'd say the youngest people that were into flat Earth back 10 years ago on YouTube were around 25. There wasn't a load of people who were 14, 15 back then who were into flat Earth on YouTube. So yeah, they're pumping the Feast of Nonsense at them, but they have to do it earlier. Do you know what I mean? It's happening much earlier. You're talking 10 years later, and they're aiming it at people who are 10 years younger than we were. I was in my late 30s, when I first came across the
Right,
subject.
before you start reminiscing, I'm going to round out shortly. So,
Is everything okay? Did I say something wrong? Or?
No, just before we get into when I was a boy and when I first found out, it just sounded like that was going to take a long time. I'm going to round out in the next 30 seconds.
Ask him the question again.
Do you know
Brian.
for sure and without a doubt that the Earth is flat, Brian?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What about hills?
What about them?
Well, then show that it ain't flat if it's like hilly and stuff.
Why is that? How would a hill show it's not flat?
Because they're going up and down and that. Obviously.
So that would be an undulation. Yeah.
Yeah. But not flat then.
Right. Is your tabletop flat?
Yeah, that's not the Earth.
Yeah. Does that have undulations on it?
Nah, it's flat.
So, but it does have undulations on it. Because all things have
flat.
undulations. There's nothing in the world that's true. No, because there's no such thing as two-dimensional.
I don't know if this is a worthy response to round out on, but I'm going to. With that bombshell, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.